we doing here tonight?
I'll go over it now, right? Make sure everything's going.
Logic.
Yeah. Right, so following on from last week's fun time that we had, we decided that it's logic time. And we asked people last week to come up with a if P then Q. Now, it just basic logic. It's the formulation of the initial statement. The P being the antecedent, the Q being the consequent. If P, if antecedent, then consequent. Something happens as an occurrence from the aforementioned P. Now, it sounds pretty easy to do it, but I mean, it's a little bit more formulated than that, because you've got to check your P's and Q's, mind your P's and Q's, to make sure that you end up with a sentence or a statement that makes sense. So we asked people to come with logical statements, if P then Q's, based around the initial statement that vertical and horizontal are perpendicular. Simple geometric one, but I mean, I think it was bore out because somebody was saying something, I don't know, about that sort of thing. So it seems to be in fitting with a lot of what we do with the logic and the geometry. That the first one is like this. I mean, we can do some more of this, but so as we've already described, I mean, Rob wants to go first because Rob was the one that started it off earlier, Rob. So do you want to go with your if P then Q statement?
Me?
Yeah, go on.
Yeah. Now I wanna preface this with, because my logical statement I posted as a comment in a chat that you had on a video about logic, and it's got like 55 responses. So this is definitely a topic of contention. So I'm gonna give you my statement now. If vertical is perpendicular to horizontal, P, then all verticals parallel to one another, Q.
That is
Thank you very much.
brilliant. That's exactly what we asked for.
No, thank you very much.
Very logical. I mean, I'd say that works.
Can I reiterate that?
Yeah, go on.
Well, it's pretty much what he said, but if all plumb bobs point to the center of Earth, P, all plumb bobs cannot run parallel, Q.
Yes.
Plumb bobs do
wait a minute.
run.
No, wait a minute. You don't need the then.
No, no.
That's perfect, right? So there's two counteractive if P then Q's, right? They are opposing. So they both work from the initial statement. They can either be true or false. Now, how we formulate that a little bit further on is how those things will be bore out, right? How we use that. But just for now, that they're perfect. That shows if P then Q of two opposing things taken from that initial statement. That shows that within this logical argument, you don't necessarily have to be on any side of it. It's just the logical statement. Nobody needs to get upset about anything. There's nothing for anybody to argue about just yet. They're just two statements, and they're both opposing, but no arguments. That was brilliant, that, Judge. That's an excellent follow-on. What do you reckon, Rob? I mean,
Is
do you reckon that sort of goes along with your one? Yeah. All right. So that's exactly what we're after. And there's two that have come. Now, is there any... Because that's two from this side. Is there any from... Who else was wanting? You got one to bring one.
I've got
Yeah,
one, and it's basically the same one as when a different formulation if you want it.
Go on then, yeah, because it's all about the wording of these things. So go on.
Yeah, exactly. So if vertical is determined by the center of a spherical Earth P, then verticals cannot be parallel Q.
Yeah. Yeah, a different thing, but also. Yeah.
Can I follow that one up?
Go on.
George kind of stole my thunder, but if plumb lines are not parallel, then you must use plumb bob to show that.
Oh, that's a bit more into the practical.
Yeah,
side.
that one
I
is
like
good.
That. That's good.
That's aggressive.
In order to show plumb bobs not being parallel, you need to show a plumb bob.
Yeah, but that's the follow-up, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's the not Q, therefore not P.
Well, no, that just tells you how to formulate, right? It's like he's helping you guys with your next step that may be whatever, right? In order to finish it off, right? But it's still a if P then Q.
And if we see non-parallel plumb bobs, then the surface that it's being measured from, compared to, is curved. Notice columns. If P then Q.
Could you say curved? I don't know. So, but I mean, yeah, if you want to, I don't think it'd be curved though, would it?
Could be
Well,
some type of multifaceted, but it's a curved.
That doesn't
plumb
seem
bob.
logical. The vagueness of how you worded that seems illogical to me.
No, very specific.
Okay,
If
reword it
plumb
then
bobs-
to
hold on,
if.
if plumb bobs are measured to be not parallel, then the surface they are measured upon is curved.
No, because there could be a flat plane, like how lots of people like to mock flat earthers and how gravity would work on a
Yeah.
disk,
Yeah.
and on a flat disk where gravity was toward like a sort of cone-shaped Earth in outer space.
No.
Yeah,
But
good
he makes his
point.
logic.
No, no. Whoa.
I like what you're going.
Could
Hold on.
you-
You're talking to me? Hold on. Yeah,
Let's go back
that's
to the original
great.
question.
I commend you on that. That's actually very excellent.
Right.
So if we have the flat Earth,
No,
we have the
that's
density.
not the what's in contention here.
Yeah, we're talking. I'm
Let's go back
talking
to
to
the
him.
original
Yeah,
question.
but you're
Let
getting
me
away from
talk
it.
to him.
You're getting away
He had a
from
great
it.
Original
point. I want to commend
question.
him. He had a great point. So yeah, if, you're right. It could be a flat
Original
surface
Who's
with
that?
it.
Zanuck.
Oh my God!
Right, yeah.
Original
Please,
question.
Zanuck.
Come on. Come on.
Zanuck,
He-
please stop it. Right, we
Original question.
take what you've said, right? But I'm giving you a contention that could it not be sloped?
Original question.
Is that
No,
means
he
that
conceded. He
you
conceded,
can't
Bev.
put
He said
curve
yes.
in.
He's agreed.
Can't put
So-
curved. It's not. That isn't
Can I object,
valid.
Bev?
If P then Q.
Back to the original question.
Yeah,
Plumb-
can I give you
Plumb bobs
logic?
have nothing to do with the
Question.
surface.
Back to the original question, because you're getting away from the logical premise. Back to the original question. That's where we've got to go to. Back to the original question. P and Q.
If vertical and horizontal are perpendicular, then
That's
you
where we've
can't
got to start
bring
from,
curve in.
and that's where we've got to always go back to. Everybody's going into the weeds. Go back to the original question. Start from there and go from there. People bringing up all this other crap is going into the weeds.
Well, Zanuck's been working a week on that. Have you, Zanuck?
I'm sorry. Oh
Yeah.
shit. Sorry, Zanuck. My apologies.
I give you Team Pseudosciences.
Go on. Yeah.
If horizontal is a straight line P, or between 2 points P, it cannot be curved or deviate up and down between the 2 points Q.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we'll answer that after we've answered this one then, shall we? Because this is the original question. We've got to answer the original question before we can get to anywhere else.
What an original question. That's we just.
Is that how you want to do it, Bev? Like a statement and then a little bit of back and forth on that statement, or just keep going with the?
Yeah, I'd like everybody to comment if they can see any flaws within, because this is what we're doing now, right? All we're doing is getting a if P, then Q, right? Now, in order to keep this to flow into the next part of it, these need to be checked that there's no flaws, right? So if anybody can see any flaws within this if P then Q statement, right, then now's the time to say it, because these will be built upon to make either modus ponens or modus tollens, reductio ad absurdum, whatever, right? Just to make it into the next bit. But these have got to be checked. Now, if there's no problems with it, then you've checked your P's and Q's, you've minded your P's and Q's, and you're ready to then go on into the next point, right? So the idea here is to bring this in. This is what we call an argument, right? It's the formulation of a logical statement. Now, we want this to be perfect. We want the best argument we can possibly get. And that only happens if your P's and Q's are flawless.
Hey Bev, I think that's exactly what was just happening, and then for some reason got shut down when Zanuck proposed his P then Q. Plumb bobs being non-parallel means a curved surface, and then I pointed out the flaws like you wish that flaws would be pointed out in improper P then Q statements.
Yep.
And Zanuck even conceded that I pointed out a flaw in his reasoning, and we were going to discuss that a little bit further, but someone shut that down and interrupted him from elaborating on how he concedes and explaining
Zanuck
where
was
he did not
talking you a little bit. Zanuck was a little grumpy.
No.
Okay, instead of talking about Zanuck, let me make
Zanuck isn't here anymore, right? So there's no need to talk about Zanuck.
But
so
Bev, props. Right. This is cool, Bev. This is cool, man.
Right. So who's that's coming in now?
So this is Gummy Bear. I'm going to give you some logical thinking here.
Okay. No. So just the if P then Q. That's all we want from you, Gummy. Please go ahead.
Yes. So my statement is, if vertical lines are in a perpendicular direction to the surface of a sphere, then all those verticals are not parallel and neither are the horizontals.
Wow, that's terrible. But
do that one again.
Go on, start that again.
Okay. If
who's that?
He didn't need to chime in with his robot.
Okay, if the vertical lines are in a perpendicular direction to the surface of a sphere, then all verticals are not parallel, and neither are their horizontals.
Can you?
Yeah, there's definitely a problem.
Yeah, can you have perpendicular lines to a sphere?
Yes.
Yes, to the surface of the sphere.
Are you sure?
Yes.
With a tangent, man. It's no big
not the vertical anymore, man.
Perpendicular
Y'all
to
know
a
if you
sphere.
could say no, you'd have been saying no in specificity rather than moaning. You did a good one.
Can I make that comment again?
Wait a minute. Who's coming in now? Like, who? Just Gummy Bear, please.
So, the direction that's perpendicular to a surface is literally the direction that's straight away from the surface. So it's perpendicular in every direction to the surface.
Right, do you know what perpendicular is, for starters?
Yes.
What is perpendicular?
The best. I'm not sure the best way to describe it.
Yeah, I was going to say that 90 degrees.
90 degree opposition.
90 degrees. No parallelity, like no shared lines.
What?
Like I don't know how to describe it perfectly in English. It's 90 degrees. Let's just stick with that.
Okay. Do you want me to get you the actual definition?
If you wouldn't mind, go ahead.
Perpendicular would be 90 degrees opposition to a straight surface.
Isn't it one?
No, it's 95. It's 90 from 45, man. Is it?
What? Right. Hey, can I make a comment, Dev, about
you can't just say a straight. Can't just say a straight surface, man, because like you're assuming things.
Yeah, no, any straight surface. Any straight surface,
all right, guys.
Any straight surface in a point coordinate system, any straight surface that has a 90 degree opposition to it, a line, will be perpendicular to that particular line. doesn't have to. It can be curved. I mean, it could be angled. It could be anywhere. But that perpendicularity.
All right, I'm going to read it now for you. I'm going to read the definition for you right now. All right, guys. I'm going to read the definition for you now. It says, when a straight line standing on another straight line makes the adjacent angles equal to one another, each of the angles is called a right angle, and the straight line which stands on the other is called perpendicular to it.
And I just
said that. You didn't. I said that.
No, you didn't.
I said 45 degrees from 90, which is precisely what this is indicating. You were using childish words like straight line.
Who's that?
I said straight lines. Two straight lines that are 90 degree apart.
Please, Zanuck.
I need to make one comment. I want to make one
please.
Can I make one comment, please?
Well, this is your last comment then, right? Go on, make it now.
For a while.
And then I'm going to mute
I want to commend the person that actually not poked a hole, but made a great comeback to what I said. Non-parallel plumb lines will be indicative of a curved surface, and he mentioned the flat Earth with the triangle. You know, the early drawings you saw of flat Earth, and that was really good. I mean, that was
right. That's it. Thank you very much. That was a good comment. Thank you. That was brilliant. Now,
we all understand that,
perpendicular is two straight lines. So any surface that it is perpendicular to must be a straight line. So saying straight perpendicular to a curve is ridiculous. There's no such thing.
Let's use another word then, all right?
Okay.
That's it. That's that one. That one's done. That was bad. And now Zanuck wanted to, that was his comment that he wanted. Now he's done. That one of Zanuck's is gone out of the window now, right? That's
There's no logic in that.
Yeah. All right, so we won't use perpendicular then. We'll just say verticals
who's
are
this now
90.
then? Wait a minute, sorry. I'm hosting
just
this.
say
Who's the next
45
person? Dicelo, that wasn't you just talking, was it? You just overtalked somebody else. Who was the next person that wanted to have a go?
Arma, me.
Bev. Hello, Bev.
Who's that?
Hello, Bev.
There's a lot of people in here. Yeah, go on.
Hello, Bev. All right. What did we start off this conversation with? Was it something that Rob said? And we haven't even discussed that yet, have we? Because people have got the weeds.
Yeah, we're just doing if P then Q.
So can we get back to Rob's P and Q? Yeah, can we get back to Rob's P and Q then, please, instead of fucking listening to all these arseholes fucking...
We've already done it. We've already done that. Then there was a counter to that one. And
all right. My apologies.
Yeah. It's okay, Arma. You've been working on this one for a week, have you? You were here last week.
Yeah, no, sorry, Bev. I just think we're trying to find other logical statements similar to mine and of the same caliber as mine.
Yeah.
So I've been going.
I pointed out the way the first one was said about all vertical.
Wait a minute. Arma was on there next. Sorry.
Oh, yes, sir.
Okay, Arma, did you want to go with your one?
I just wanted to who was the last person who did a P and Q? Because I wanted the guy before him.
It would have been me probably. Gummiver.
Yeah, I mean, their P and Q is fine if we just change the words a bit. I mean, the point still gets across. Whatever. We just need to change the words instead of using perpendicular.
Do you think the arrangements of words is gonna change the logical of a statement?
Let him try. Yeah. Let's have a go.
All right,
go on. You want to reword Zanuck's? Because I think that was the one that we were talking about.
Well, because we were arguing what perpendicular was. You said to a line. There are different definitions. Some are saying it's just 90 degrees to a given surface. All right.
Yeah, but 90 degrees is two straight lines. That's what perpendicular means.
The contention is that when I say perpendicular to a surface, they don't want to accept that because they want to use the definition which only uses straight lines.
Yeah,
when in fact that is not a requirement to perpendicular.
Yes, it is.
You can have something that is
Please, can we have a go now? He was going to change his name or something.
I'm about to finish.
Who's that, Gummy?
Yes, I'm about to
Gummy,
finish.
don't try and redefine perpendicular as well.
It's one more sentence.
Yeah, but perpendicular is two straight lines. It's the relationship of two
fine.
straight lines to one
Well,
another.
that's
So
one
let's not
definition.
go
The
there.
line,
Armour,
the line
please.
which is perpendicular to a surface is called the normal. It's got its own name in geometry.
We know what a normal is,
Yeah,
and
we
90
do.
degrees is what's important.
What kind of geometry? Euclidean or non-Euclidean?
Euclidean.
Yeah, there you go. It's the same. It's just vertical. Like we all
The
know what it
surface-
means. Yeah.
Yeah, the surface normal is perpendicular to the surface.
Which is a
That
straight,
definition.
straight lines, right?
No.
You know what a tangent is.
Right. Okay.
But the-
Let's carry on. Armour, please. You go. You wanted to
Okay.
change the wording.
All right, yeah. So instead of if you don't want to use perpendicular, even though it's perfectly fine, right? We could just say then the verticals are just. I guess in this example, we could just say it's whatever. Like, I need a picture for this. I mean, it's I don't understand why you can't use perpendicular. I mean, it
Parallel
works.
or not parallel?
Perpendicular is the relationship of two straight lines to one another.
That's one definition. What makes
What?
have
Give
you
us
seen the
your
other ones?
definition then. Go on.
Okay, it literally says at an angle of 90 degrees to a given line, plane, or surface. All right.
Okay. Can you show me 90 degrees, please? Show me an angle of 90 degrees.
On a circle or just in general?
Just show me an angle of 90 degrees. You can put it wherever. Put it on top of a banana if you want. Show me the angle of 90 degrees, please.
Can I just cut in for just 1 second? I need a clarification. Is this the Arma? Were you the one yesterday that said that agreed with Sinklinzer that logic is relative?
Well, we're talking about like computer logic and whatnot. It depends on how you define logic, but we're not getting into that.
Defining logic is the stuff we're doing right now.
That's just the whole topic is logic. If you think it's relative, then you really don't have.
Well,
Void.
What depends on like which logic. If there's general logic like the logic that we whatever, and then there's like it's words. All right, I'm not gonna get into that.
Is it
all right?
relative or not?
No, not really. It depends on which word, which logic
Not
you're
really,
talking
it's
about.
a bit
But
vague, and please.
Does
stop
the
it.
supernatural count? Like, what if it's relative to humans, but we maybe
That's
maybe,
not
I don't know.
logic.
That's not the
That's
argument.
logic.
Though.
Do you want to count yourself out of this?
Anyway, point is, let's just get back onto whatever. Right. So
Show me an angle of 90 degrees, please.
okay. So I'm just gonna real fast just cut this off. I'll show you just a picture real fast. I'll copy, paste. It's a right angle, but that's a right angle.
Yep. 90 degrees.
All right. Yes.
Should have put the little square box in the corner.
Yeah, I know to make it official. Yeah, but whatever. Mm-hmm. But I mean, who was? I'm sorry, I'm really bad with names. Who was the one that gave the perpendicular, to the surface of a circle argument? Who was that again?
That was
Gummy bear.
Gummy bear. Okay, Gummy
bear.
Okay.
Well. I'm sorry.
They have a perfectly good, P and Q. Is just that you're not accepting their definition of perpendicular. So we have to find another means of explaining it.
What's
but
their
they have
definition of perpendicular? You've just shown me an angle of 90 degrees. What's their definition? Where's the curve in that?
So, if this helps, just remove the word perpendicular and use the word normal. The reason I didn't use the word normal was because perpendicular is a bit more wider understood than the normal. But you just say normal then.
But normal,
and what is your problem?
Normal is perpendicular.
Yes, correct.
Right.
Can you add more perpendicular lines to it?
All right, guys. Normal works. I mean, if you're going to disagree with that, then I mean, this is getting ridiculous.
It works for who?
Well, for his argument.
It works for when you're talking about the relationship to straight lines or a straight line and a plane. That's the only way perpendicular works.
All right,
and you know it too. You know it.
Can I ask Bev, what's wrong with the tangent of the surface, Bev? Isn't that a straight line?
Tangent is a straight line, yes.
Well, there you go. Then we're using tangents and whatever.
That's not the surface. It's just a straight line.
Well,
okay.
When I say perpendicular,
I'm gonna restate my.
We're getting away out in the cars talking about perpendicular,
I'm gonna
which
restate
is
my if
a
P, then Q.
definition that is within geometry and is very clearly defined, right? We're not arguing about definitions or other people's ideas of definitions. What we're here to do, if P then Q.
All right, fair enough.
Okay, so I'm gonna restate my if P then Q with different wording. Is that okay?
Go on.
Okay. If vertical is normal to the surface of a sphere, then all verticals are not parallel and neither are horizontals.
Wow. And you
horizontals perpendicular to each parallel. Yeah.
Don't need to put the horizontals, but I mean, that's good.
Okay, fine.
Yeah. If.
Yes,
right?
if.
Yeah.
That is a big if.
Right, because what is an horizontal line again?
It doesn't. Horizontal is perpendicular to vertical, right?
Yes.
So no sphere then.
Yeah.
No, so vertical is perpendicular to horizontal.
Yep.
But what I'm saying is that if the verticals are normal to the surface of a sphere, then all those verticals are not parallel.
Where do you see sphere on it?
Yeah, you've got.
That's my if-then statement.
George is right, though, right? Because if you say vertical is perpendicular to horizontal, then horizontal is perpendicular to vertical. There's no way of telling which one is perpendicular to the other, because they're both perpendicular to each other. So you can't just say one's normal and then the other one's perpendicular, because that's ridiculous. Again, you screwed yourself over on the definitions. You can't have something as being normal and perpendicular, and they're having those as two different things when they're the same thing.
Well, so the vertical is normal to the surface, and then for each vertical, you'll have a perpendicular horizontal. But the verticals aren't parallel to each other, but each vertical has a perpendicular horizontal related to it.
So you claim.
This is logically a geometrical argument. But of course, the if there is talking about a sphere. That's the if.
Yeah, but you've messed up because the sphere, you've just tagged that on. And then you've assumed that perpendicular means something different than it actually means.
No, that's incorrect.
You're going to really struggle if you carry on with that. That's all I'm saying. I'd like...
So what part of that?
Let's just remove the perpendicular. Just go with normals because they're.
I'm not using the word perpendicular anymore.
Okay.
So I'm not sure what.
But it is the initial statement was horizontal and vertical are perpendicular, right? That's a
yes.
Okay. So
and they still are.
Your idea is to prove that they aren't perpendicular, right?
No. So vertical and horizontal.
Yeah.
They're always perpendicular to each other. But my statement is showing that there are multiple verticals who are not parallel.
Well, see, you want to be trying to formulate it around that sort of... That's where you want to go.
But can I go back to that point I was trying to make before I got muted rudely? Because that addresses
rudely muted
perfectly. You didn't let me finish. You didn't let me finish the point, and the point was a good one for your side, by the way.
For what? My side? What are you talking about?
Yes, your side. Your side.
I don't have any sides in this. This is logic.
He's going to call you a flat.
You're asserting that if you have something that's horizontal and something that's vertical, that they'll always be perpendicular to one another.
That's the statement that we're basing this on.
Talking gravity. Stop trying to get it in there, bro.
Hold on. If that happens, if we have this mass that's underneath us that is shaped in such a way where we see
it's got nothing to do with that.
If I finish, you can say, okay, I've already heard that. Just let me finish it.
Put it in a PQ, dude.
No. I have a point after it, though. I want to make it clear so when I make my point, you understand what I'm saying.
Why are you talking about something that we're not talking about to then eventually get back to what we are talking about? What are you doing?
It'll have to.
Can we please let Zanuck finish?
Forget it.
Yeah, all right. See you later. Has anybody else got any more? Right, okay, then I'll go with one, right? If horizontals are parallel to the plane of the horizon, then all horizontals are parallel to each other.
Not on a globe model.
That's
Unless
it
there's
sounds more
other
like a
factors
statement
making
than
them
a.
not parallel.
Why are
It
you
sounds
bringing
more
up
like a
models?
statement than a if P then Q.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
The whole problem is that if you're using a singular vertical and then basing all horizontals off that, then yes, that is true. But when you have the different verticals facing in different directions, then you'll have a problem with that.
Okay, well,
that is why
a
a
disco
model,
ball. Yeah,
I will state
that's why
it again.
it's important when a model
I'll
comes
state
into
it
play.
again. If all horizontals are parallel to the plane of the horizon, then all horizontals are parallel to each other.
Yes.
All of them, right?
Yes.
Every single
right.
one of them.
You're right.
Thank you.
So what happens with my modus tollens? It showed that basically we have a concave.
We're not doing modus tollens. We're just doing the
Well,
if P then Q. All right.
That's what that is what modus tollens is, by the way.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not. But
Okay,
we're just doing the if
Fine.
P then Q.
Yeah.
Right.
So if the Earth is flat,
who is
then
this?
all
Sonic?
objects. If the Earth is flat, then all objects in the distance that are the same height above the surface will be at your eye level. Is that true?
No.
No. What was that? Do it again. Do that again.
Yes.
Fully formulate it. Right.
Fully formulated. If
Go on.
the Earth is flat, if the horizontal on your feet is
Wait,
flat.
no, wait a minute. Where's the P? Like, please do the initial. If P, then Q. Right. Go on. That's all we're after. Go on.
If P, then Q.
No.
Not Q, then not P.
No.
So if the Earth is
no.
flat, P.
Zanuck,
Hold on. If the Earth is,
Zanuck,
I'm walking you
we're
through
not
it.
after
If
the
Earth is
modus
flat-
tollens and the formulation.
the
Everybody
Earth
else
is
here
flat,
seems
P-
to understand. Please,
If
just
the
the
Earth-
if
let me-
P,
I'm
then
Here's
Q
P.
bit. Please
Flat.
go.
If flat, P. Then every object. You're so rude, man. Let me finish. I'm giving you to, and you're just talking over me. If the Earth's flat, P, then every object at your observation level, eye level, will stay at that level in your field of view, Q. Would you agree with that?
No,
That's nonsensical.
If the Earth is flat,
No,
every
Zanuck.
object at your eye level will stay at that eye level, regardless of distance, in your field of view, Q.
Nah,
Why is that not good?
Correct.
So hold on a
That's
second.
exactly correct.
When
That's
this
correct.
subject,
Refraction
when
is
this
correct.
subject, that,
All right, please.
this subject that you're talking
You're not-
about,
see,
Zanuck,
you guys
when
can't
he's next to
listen,
your feet,
so that way you can't even
Zanuck,
think about it, because all you do is
Zanuck.
talk over people.
Zanuck,
I'm gonna mute.
This
I've muted
object-
him for a bit. Go on.
this subject
Can I
that you're
just-
talking about, yeah, when he's next to your feet, is it at your eye level?
On mute.
No, that's his trick. He's putting
No,
your eye.
don't be bad. I was muting. Don't go out. Don't gang power when I'm muted. So yes.
Wait a minute.
Everything
Wait a minute.
At, everything at eye level will stay at eye level regardless of distance if the Earth is flat. If the
Right. Wait a minute. Answer George's question, please. Just that.
Okay, George, go ahead. Repeat that. The line below your feet.
If this object that you say that on the distance is below your eye level, if you bring this object close to your feet, is it at your eye level?
Eventually, it'll approach your eye level, but it'll never be at eye level technically as it goes further away from you. No.
It's a yes or no question. The object
I said
next
no,
to your feet,
won't
is
be
it at your eye
If
level?
it's at your feet, or if it's in the distance at the same height as your feet, no, it'll never be at eye level. Does that answer your question, George?
The answer is no.
So what makes you believe that if that object is going away from you horizontally on a straight line, has anything to do with your eye level?
Because that's how perspective works, George. Anything at eye level, starting with your eyeballs, you pull your eyeballs out of your head and you move them 100 miles away, they will be at eye level for no matter how far away they go. That is
your eye level.
All right.
No,
We're
level.
not bringing refraction into it
Yeah,
or anything.
exactly,
That's
Don.
silly.
Thank you for muddling the waters.
Zanuck, your eye level is a
That's the next
horizontal line parallel to the ground.
Right. Angularly, it'll
Right.
always go up toward your eye level, but it'll never get there.
That's perspective, Zanuck.
That's
Your eye
trigonometry and
level-
perspective.
your
Correct.
Eye
Because perspective
level
is built on
runs
trigonometry.
Yeah, you
George,
to the level
For
of the
Christ's sake,
ground.
George, come on. You're better than that. Come on.
Zanuck, please don't start.
So you got things at your feet going out in the distance. They will always be that level. Same as your feet.
Is that
You'll
your
always
if
be
P
below-
then Q, Zanuck?
Yeah.
I gave you it. So I said P and Q. Every object at your observation level, P, will stay there in your field of view, Q, regardless of distance.
That's ridiculous.
It'll be there. You don't mean you're gonna see
There's
it.
no logic in it.
Good fun with the next part.
Don, you
bad.
can't claim ridiculous. No one can
No.
claim ridiculous unless they understand the command.
Zanuck, please.
That's true.
It is true.
Zanuck.
Everything at eye level will stay at
There's
eye
no
level
logic in it.
as it goes away from you. If the
Yeah.
I think people are missing the premise of the show. It's
Yep.
just to make a statement and then just kind of critique it. I mean, other people were fine. Like Gummy Bear was cool. Somebody else came in was cool. Arma's been pretty cool. I mean,
There's no
I'm not trying to
argument
start-
in this.
yeah.
No argument
seen
at
it.
all. We're just critiquing other people's if P's then Q, right? To hopefully get them better. Most of the ones we've heard so far
It's
have
the
been
logical
good.
formulation.
Yeah.
Wait. Okay. So what's wrong with the Gummy Bear? Because Gummy Bear retyped it out. Whatever. What's wrong with if vertical is normal to a sphere, then all verticals are not parallel. What's wrong with that?
Well, what's normal?
Come on, the sphere normal. I mean,
What does it mean? What does
You
normal
don't have
mean?
horizontal lines in the sphere.
We can define perpendicular. Can you define normal?
I'm gonna be honest, not really. I'm bad with words. I know what a normal is, but I can't.
Well, then
I'm really bad with words.
maybe you're in the wrong arena.
Maybe.
The normal is the line which is perpendicular to the surface at any given point.
Okay, all right. Let's go with your model. I'll just expand it a little bit to give you an idea what's going to go on, right? You have perpendicular at some point. Now, if you go on that line that is perpendicular, how far can you go where you can drop another perpendicular to that line?
No, nowhere. We would assume
Okay.
nowhere. I
So
mean,
you don't have a horizontal. You don't
didn't quite
actually have a
Well-
perpendicular.
well, I
Yes,
answered.
you
So
do.
let Gummy Bear do it. I just kind of jumped in.
Yeah.
Well, so we have the vertical,
Yeah.
which is perpendicular to the surface,
What surface?
the surface that we're standing on.
Okay.
Or
And what
okay,
is
this is
perpendicular
what-
to you?
yeah. Perpendicular.
Yeah.
What is perpendicular? Well,
What's-
we agreed
what's
earlier that
perpendicular
it's
to horizontal, vertical.
One straight line standing on a straight line.
so a perpendicular.
Why is it hard to answer these questions,
Rob,
you guys?
Rob, please let him try. At least.
So I already said that the line that's perpendicular to the surface means that it's got a 90-degree angle to all parts of the surface.
Would you call
Around
that
it.
vertical?
Yes.
Right. Now, perpendicular to vertical. What's that?
Horizontal.
Right. Now, how large is the horizontal that you are going to allow, line or plane, on that vertical?
Forever. You've established a horizontal for that vertical,
Okay, so
which will stretch on
perpendicular. So
forever.
perpendicular to that horizontal is what you're talking about, right? All perpendiculars to that horizontal will be parallel.
Yep.
So all of the verticals that are perpendicular to that entire infinite horizontal plane will be parallel.
Correct.
Right, so what was your argument again then?
So the argument is that while that is true for this vertical, if you were to move to a different
Is
position,
that what you said with your cue?
yes,
Where?
by saying that if you move, then your vertical will be pointing a different direction and therefore it will not be parallel with the earlier vertical, as well as the horizontals you make of that new vertical will not be parallel with the previously made horizontals.
That is what seems to have expanded a hell of a lot from your.
And all of that is implied by what I said.
No, it isn't implied by what you said.
Do you need some help, Gummy? I can try and give you some pointers.
Go right ahead.
Yeah, because I mean, yeah, I was gonna say, like, instead of using the word vertical, because that's gonna trip you up with this, horizontal and perpendicular is going to as well. Try and formulate it around, like, if the radius lines was extending past the surface. Try and, like, formulate something that way instead.
So what you're saying is I shouldn't use any of the words related to all of this, like George. I shouldn't use any of the words related to what we're talking about, like perpendicular, vertical, horizontal. Instead, I should talk about something completely different, about radius lines.
No,
I don't agree with that.
Can I give it a try?
My point. Can I clarify my point?
That's what you're describing.
Yeah, I think
that's my point. Is that if the radius line extends past the circumference, then you could, use that as the verticals in your argument, because it's going to be the same then.
No, so the reason why I wouldn't use that, instead what I use is the normal to the surface, which it will be equivalent to the radius line, but it's instead of extracting that or extrapolating that to mean it's a line that reaches the center, I'm simply talking about the normal to the surface, which is
the problem. Yeah, but the problem is the word normal is undefined, and so the logic fails.
Well, no, so earlier I used it. I didn't use the word normal for this exact reason, but I was criticized by having to explain perpendicular, and they also said that they know what normal means. So therefore, I did afterwards change my argument to add in the word normal, because they said that they know what it is.
Yeah, but they know what you mean, because they're in the argument right now. If you said that to someone just with a blank slate, that word normal is undefined to them, and so...
No, if they're knowledgeable within geometry, then they will know about the word
There's
normal.
no normal, in geometry now. No.
Yes, it is.
A radius, that's what you're doing.
The normal to a surface is the vector which is perpendicular to that surface at that given point.
Can I just give you a quick one?
You're describing a circle.
Just a quick one.
No, I'm not describing a circle. Right now, I'm just describing a perpendicular line.
I might be able to help you with this, right?
Go ahead.
A little quick one I've just formulated in my head.
I got one too.
If perpendicular is defined within Euclidean geometry, then perpendicular is provable to be true.
Yeah. Nothing I say goes against that. I'm using perpendicularity, so I want it to be true.
Okay, so
let me ask you this. How many horizontal lines you need in order to build a sphere?
No, hang on. I got it. If I am holding a sphere, then to the center point, there will only be one horizontal plane and one vertical plane.
Yes, to you while you're holding it, correct. But we're talking about the fact that you can stand on it and have different orientations, and therefore different verticals, and therefore different horizontals.
I'd say that would work with any. That's a very good one, that, Buster. I like that.
Yeah.
Different horizontals, yeah. How many in order to do a sphere?
As many as you want to define.
Horizontals.
When you mentioned normal, you said they mentioned it earlier.
Yes.
What do you mean by normal?
It's just perpendicular. It's just a fancy word. So get them away from perpendicular.
I'm asking Gummy because I don't know what he means by normal.
Yeah, so it's a word. It's a word in geometry that literally just means the line that's perpendicular to the surface.
Right. And when you said earlier, when did you mean earlier?
Like 20 minutes ago.
So was
when
it
I first yes. So when I first brought up my if-then statement, I used the word perpendicular rather than normal. And I was criticized on it, and I later changed it to normal because people answered that they knew what that meant, what the normal direction is.
So nobody actually told you to change it to normal. You just changed it to normal yourself.
They told me to by implying that they know. Yeah, Bev did by saying he knows what normal is, so I should just use that.
It's just
that
perpendicular.
is what he said.
Everybody knows it now, right? You're just using a different word to say the same thing, but pretend it's to a surface when it isn't. It just means perpendicular relationship 90 degrees to another straight line.
So normal means perpendicular.
Yep.
Right. Okay. Because
to a surface.
Just to anything.
People are banding around words and everything like that, and I'm just getting confused all the time because people are flip flopping all over the place. So normal is perpendicular.
Yeah, all books and all envelopes and so on. They're all circular. They're not. We don't have 90-degree angles.
If you look in chat, I posted 2 pictures that'll kind of explain normal vectors. So
there you go. Yeah. The perpendicular.
Yeah.
It just means at right angles too. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I just want a clarification on that. Thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem.
Because we've got a curved surface there, but you have to make each one of those squares to put the perpendicular to it. Right? It's
What's
just
that
like
in the
disco
middle?
ball. Like that. But that's what normal means, perpendicular. I mean, you can't have that being vertical and horizontal. Like, that's not what it means. There's a different relationship, right? Vertical and horizontal are in reality. That's just a way that they can put a tangent on a curved surface, which is perpendicular, right? And then do the perpendicular to the tangent or to the square that they're going to do.
Yeah, so when you want to figure out the normal vector of a spherical object, you find out the tangential plane.
Yeah, you just put a straight line there. You put 2 straight lines on top of a ball, right?
Well, it's a tangential plane, but you can call that 2 straight lines if you want to.
Well, yeah,
because a plane is defined as 2 lines.
Or you put a plane on a sphere, right?
Yes, which tangentially is equal to the curve at that point.
The sphere at one point, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So in reality...
So you need a straight line then?
Yeah, in reality what we could say is there would be 2 horizontal planes on a ball, one at the base and one on top. And the verticals would be perpendicular to those horizontal planes.
Well, you have infinite horizontal planes. You can define the horizontal plane at whatever height or altitude you want.
Yeah, to understand. If you have a sphere, a ball, in reality, right, there would be a horizontal plane underneath it that the ball is on. Then you could put another horizontal plane on top of it. But because it's a solid ball, you can't put a horizontal plane through it.
Yeah.
But all perpendiculars to those 2 horizontal planes would be perpendicular. Now, there would only be 2 planes that would be, normal. And they're the planes that are touching the ball.
Well, no, the plane that is touching the ball would be the tangential plane.
Yep. And it would also be, normal to the surface of the ball at the point that it is touching the tangential.
Well, no, it would be parallel to the surface of the ball where it's touching.
No, it couldn't be parallel to, because one of them's a plane and the other one's a ball. You can't have a plane parallel to a ball. That's silly. Don't try doing that as well. That's ridiculous.
At the point of tangency, at the point of tangency, you have parallel. That is what tangential means.
Horizontal planes would be parallel. Yes. Please don't try and say that the surface of the ball is parallel to the plane that is tangential to it. That would be absolutely ridiculous.
Did we just get a new one? We got parallel points?
Yep. I think so.
Wow.
the tangent is being parallel to the ball or to the surface that it is tangential to. Wow. Gummy, I think you should quit. Like, you should just tap out and go.
What's tangent to you?
Oh, bloody hell. Gummy, please.
No, I'm not going to drop this one because you're incorrect on this one.
Oh,
the fact is, the point of tangency, the point where it is the tangent, they are parallel. You are incorrect on what you're saying. They are parallel on this point.
The surface of a sphere is a surface of constant curvature. A tangent is a straight line or plane that has zero curvature. One cannot be parallel to the other. Please stop it, Gummy. You sound ridiculous.
At the point of tangency, that's how a tangent is defined.
Gummy, can 2 points be parallel to one another? Gummy, did you hear me?
So when you say point, when I'm saying point on the sphere, I'm not talking about the. Yeah. I'm clarifying by this. No, but when I'm talking about the point of tangency, you usually talk about a point of infinitesimal radius. That is how math works. So you get the tangential.
Question again.
Where it's touching, it's a point. They share the same point.
They share the same slope. They are parallel at that point. That is what a tangential is. Do you not know what a tangent is?
This is going stupid.
You're disagreeing with what a tangent is.
Who's talking here?
You know what he's doing, Bev?
Yeah,
what he's doing is assuming the outcome. He's doing the second part. Q, therefore P.
So everybody calm down, please.
If 2 points can't be parallel, he yields, man. End of story.
Well, it's not two separate points, though. A tangent is where it's touching the sphere. That's the same point.
A point is never going to have anything to do with parallel, man. That's
right. I agree.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
We all agree. There's no need for us to do this because Gummy's obviously coming with something that is obviously not true, following up his earlier radius of a square, right? So it's pretty obvious now. Gummy Bear has not got a clue what he's talking about, and yet he wants to tell you how intelligent he is, but he's literally breaking mathematics. He's making it up.
Are you seriously gonna berate him while you having muted?
Yes, because I can't be dealing with it. It's
shitty mod you are. Try to stay objective in it, sir. What the hell?
Okay, there's another one. What we're doing here is a logical statement thing. It is not logical to come in to state that a tangent line can be parallel to the fucking surface it's tangent to. That's ridiculous. I don't know. That's definitely not logical for anyone to do that unless the purpose is to just disrupt. Which I'm guessing quite a lot of people do because they can't join in with this logical thing we're doing right now.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. Like some people are like allergic to logic or something.
Yeah, I mean
No. They can't have other people thinking for themselves or learning how to think. Can't have that.
Yeah, we knew this would be tough for quite a few people.
Can I come up with a new word?
Logic. Can you
mixing allergic and logic and call it allergic?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure somewhere in the definitions of sophistry, there's a bit about using different definitions for the same thing. I'm pretty sure it's in there about sophistry.
Yeah, that'd be worth looking
into. I'm still waiting for a better... I'm still waiting for somebody to come up with a logical statement that is of the caliber of Rob's logical statement or Bev's logical statement. I know you guys can do it. Come on.
There's one from Mick too, and he did one last at the when he came today.
Yeah, he's not here though. He's got lots of little followers.
He did leave it there. It's there in the thing. If the Earth is a sphere, something. Yeah, I don't know. But, I mean, yeah, that's as easy as it is. Like, people, like, even on the globe side, you know, who was it? Surigaki, was it?
Yeah.
Like, your logical statement was from the globe side, wasn't it?
Yeah, if vertical is determined by the center of a spherical Earth, P, then verticals cannot be parallel, Q. See? I don't know why anybody else was bothering with them. That makes perfect sense.
Hey, man, that was logical.
It's just...
I knew you could do it. I knew they could do it. I knew it.
I liked my follow-up one.
Yeah.
That was mine, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the idea would be to first formulate your statements. I mean, anybody can, you know, judge by yourself. If this, then that. I mean, these statements that have been come forward, all you have to do is say, is the P correct? Is it true that one would be a consequent of the other? Well, then you've got to decide, how do you want to formulate it? You either say, from the Q statement, like, yes, Q does happen. Then you could say, yes, Q. Or you could say, no, Q doesn't happen. Here's the evidence that Q doesn't happen. So therefore, it doesn't necessarily follow. There's loads of different ways you can do it, but you need to make sure that your P's and Q's are sorted. And if you come in with something to do with perpendicular, like if you go, if perpendicular doesn't mean perpendicular, then, well, that's bad formulation. Because you can't say something's perpendicular to something, but then not actually have that line that it is perpendicular to, because it's only at one point, and then you don't have a line. And you can't have a line perpendicular to another line if it's not a line that it's perpendicular to. It just doesn't make any sense. But that's not our problem with the geometry, right? If the ballers wanted to go, if the geometry of reality is spherical geometry, then
I have another one.
The ballers would be able to prove that. But they can't, so, you know.
Oh, I thought you were fixing to do mine.
Yet, George.
I'll save that one.
Go on, George, you have another one.
If P then Q. If the surface of the water is horizontal, then water don't conform to a ball. Q.
I've got one.
Good.
I've got one. It's novel. It's not same ones you had. Actually, I got two.
Go.
And then I got so I did one last week. I'll do that one again, and I'll say the new one. But I said, if a vertical line is one that's created from some center position, and your position, and a horizontal plane is perpendicular from that vertical line, then no two horizontal planes created from two separate positions would be parallel, ever. That's the first one.
Begging the question.
The second one, hold the question to the answer. The second one, very quickly, is if every vertical line established from every position on Earth is perpendicular to the same horizontal plane, then two autolevels with a 0.5 millimeter precision over 110 meters, like one I've seen, then they should establish a horizontal plane that intersects the eyepiece of the other if both are set up 100 meters apart from each other and they're pointed directly at one another. So those are the two if P and Qs.
Wow. I'd like to see that.
It's hard for both of them.
Do you think you'd be able to see all the way through the eyepiece and the prisms, the compensator mechanism, into the lens at the eyepiece of the other auto level?
I think it's doing Q then P.
Now, I'm a little bit more clever than that, Bev. What I would do is I would set up a rod right next to the eyepiece with a mark right where the eyepiece is, and position the rod right next to the eyepiece so that I'm actually viewing that rod. That way I can be more precise on what I'm actually hitting.
Why do you need 2 auto levels then?
To point them at one another. To establish.
You're only reading the rod. Why do you need the other level there? That's great.
To confirm that both those rods pointing at one another. To confirm that both those auto levels are using the same horizontal when viewing each other.
So it's concave, not spherical then. Is that what you're saying? They're facing each other. If on both sides you have a vertical drop, it's concave, not spherical.
That's fantastic. I didn't say anything about a vertical drop. I didn't say anything about concave. I didn't say anything about spherical. I established. I think if you were listening, you would have heard me say, if all vertical lines from every position are perpendicular to the same horizontal plane. So what I'm talking about is a flat plane, the same horizontal. I didn't say anything about concave or convex or anything like that. I'm talking about on a flat plane, this is what should happen. That's what I said. I didn't say what would happen on a globe or anything else. So I don't have a lot of time. If you listen.
So why did you brought up the auto levels?
You have to ask that once more.
You brought up your arguments. You had 2 auto levels facing each other, to a rod in the center.
All right. It's for confirmation that they're both establishing along the same horizontal plane.
So what are you saying? Are they on the same horizontal plane or not?
Yeah, both auto levels will be making horizontals while pointing at each other at the same elevation. The horizontal planes that they're creating, they should be parallel, and this will be confirmed by the fact that the eyepiece is along the horizontal plane they've created.
Okay.
So what do you actually observe then?
You observe maybe you put like a rod next to their eyepiece with a notch mark, right? That is parallel with the center of their eyepiece.
Yeah.
So do you observe drop on both sides or not?
I didn't hear you.
Can we get off this? Because we're just after the if P then Q. Really.
Yeah, that was an if P then Q.
Yeah,
that's all that was.
Yeah, but now we're sort of discussing the if P then Q, right? Not the where we're going to go next. But your Q involved you looking at another auto level. Right? That's all I was asking. Like, in order for you to take this further, I was just saying, like, why did you put 2 auto levels to each other if what you're going to end up doing is put a measuring rod there?
The other auto level is to come back in your direction, but if you want to use a measuring device instead of the auto level, you just put something right next to the auto level, like a rod. That's what the point of the rod is, and that's what the point of the auto level is. To confirm that the 2 horizontals created in both directions are 2 horizontals that are actually the same horizontal.
Yeah, all I was saying was that if you're doing a Q that says it then 2 auto levels pointing at each other, right, would look down the crosshairs of each other's, right? If you're not actually going to do that, then what's the point of that being the then? Like, you may as well just say some sort of measurement would be taken, right? It would sound better.
You don't understand it, that's fine. I can't talk longer, but it's very simple for other people who are listening. It's very simple that you're using the horizontal plane that the other eye level is at, the eyepiece, but of course you're not going to want to use the eyepiece as the thing that you're...
We're not on about the technical procedure.
I don't have a lot of time, Bev.
I know, but you're going into a procedure that we're not after just yet. We're just after the Q. That's it. And all we want is to point out that if you're going to have a then then that is what you would have to then prove. If then doesn't ever happen, then it's not any point of having it as a then. It just doesn't make sense. I'm not saying your method's wrong or that I don't want to see you actually do this. I'm just saying it's no good point saying that you're going to look at the crosshairs if you're not actually going to look at the crosshairs. You're going to measure something else. It just doesn't sound like the good cue as a necessarily antecedent for it. Does anybody else have any
Yeah, it doesn't.
problem?
It doesn't follow the logic.
Yeah. But good. I like the idea. It's bringing out the idea of if you've got something, then you're looking for something else. That would prove that they would be parallel, I think. Is that what he was saying? I think it was. If the verticals are perpendicular, then I think he was giving us some sort of a way to work out if it's a horizontal plane across the bottom, which I like it for. Kosho's going both ways, but looking through the crosshairs was a bit...
Thanks, Kosho.
Yeah.
I got one.
Another one.
Yeah.
Yeah, go on.
If a body of water, connected body of water, is in hydrostatic equilibrium, then it will be horizontal at all points along that body of water.
Ooh.
I like that one.
It went along with George's, that, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's true. Horizontal.
And they call us physics deniers.
Yeah. Yeah, that was good. Now, I wonder why they didn't think of anything to do with that. Must be weird, right?
Because they're scared of straight lines.
Mm-hmm. Well, because that one for Busters works good as well, right? Because all you would have to do is to say, do a modus tollens for that one. You'd have to say not horizontal. You could perhaps look for a hump, or you could look for a drop of that water surface, and then you could end up saying, well, it's not horizontal if you either have the drop or the hump. I like it. Definitely works.
Does this one work here? If the Earth is flat, P, then the Earth will be 2D, Q.
Yeah. Oh, you're starting to get into my territory on my next one.
Oh, so it's not over the line. Okay, I'll use it.
No, that's lot. That's
dancing on my
logic.
territory.
Yeah, that's good.
That's affirming the consequence.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There are.
The funny thing is that every way we observe is a 2D. That's how we observe.
No, we observe 3D.
Yeah.
We do?
Yeah. There are verticals. Therefore,
absolutely,
it is not 2D. Right?
Yeah.
I'll disagree with that.
The Earth is
Can anyone post me a 2D piece of Earth?
2D is only conceptual.
Yeah, 2D.
Unless you hate reality.
That's why it's in the first 10 books of Euclid. It's the conceptual idea that you get where you gain your proofs that you will then take into solid geometry to actually practice in reality. But you have to have the founding of the two-dimensional geometry to be able to get a grasp of what's going to happen in reality. It's the foundations. It starts off very simple. A bit like what we're doing here. Starting off at the foundations of logic. It's easy when you have a good foundation and a good idea of where you're going with the formulation of the logic. If P, then Q. You see, some people have problems with it because it's just reality, right? It's what's provable in reality. I think it's good. Is How long have we been going for?
I have one last one.
Go
on. Which is just, if the Earth is a sphere Q, then plumb lines cannot be parallel. No, of course P first. Then plumb lines cannot be parallel Q.
Again, that's affirming the consequent.
It's not. It's just an if P then Q.
I've got one. I know if it might be slightly off topic, but P, if my mother-in-law is coming around here, Q, I'm getting the fuck out of here.
Okay, that's pretty good.
Yeah, that works. Depends whether your missus has got you doing the washing up or not.
So we don't do a disco ball.
Well, of all of the P's and Q's that everybody's heard tonight, because seeing this is the logic and what we're doing is the full formulation of it, right? So this is where we gain proofs from. So what we go from these statements, I mean, everybody's brought statements here tonight. They're not theirs, right? They've opened them up to the floor. Now, it's free for everyone. This is logic. You take those statements away and you go, wait, what can I do with them? Well, you can do, like I say, you can affirm the consequent, the Q, and say, yes, that. And then that's called modus ponens. Or you could negate the consequent and say, not that. Well, that would be called a modus tollens. You can also do a reductio ad absurdum, where you go, well, I will follow that through as a logical statement and say, if that were true, look at the ridiculous outcome that we have here because of that, right? Now, that cannot be true because it's absurd, right? It's ridiculous. So it can't be that. And there are all sorts of different ways of doing it. Now, you take all of those away and do whatever you want with them. And then, but as you're doing it, think, would there be a way that we could actually prove that too? And implement that method into reality in any way to help you prove these statements that we're making. I mean, they're logical statements. They make sense. They have to be either true or false. And if there's a way to prove that they are true or false, well, then it becomes a perfect formulation of the if P, then Q, yes, Q, or no, not Q, right? And you can, the easier you make the formulation of the P's and the Q's, the easier it becomes to prove the statement. And remember, you only have to prove it to yourself. You don't have to prove it to anybody else, because there will be people that won't take any sort of proof. They have upside down world. So don't be afraid or worried that other people don't take it on. It's only for yourself, and it's only for the logical statements.
But it must be true to be a logical statement, right, Beb?
Well, we've checked the P's and the Q's. I mean, like, you've seen it. I say there's been quite a few that they're flawless, right? In the formulation of the if P then Q. I mean, you can't fault them. All that needs to be done then. Go on.
So for something to be logical, what I'm saying, it has to be true. There cannot be something logical that is not true.
No, you can. Well, you can have a logical syllogism, but it's invalid, right? You can have a logical syllogism that is.
Can you give me an example?
I can.
Invalid.
Oh.
Was it him or he broke up?
I think he was breaking up. SE, do you want to go? And he might come back again in a minute.
You guys hear me?
Yeah, Travis.
Yeah, we hear you.
Travis, you're breaking up, man, I think. I think it's Travis that's doing it. Do you want to go, SE? Go on.
Yeah. I'll try one like the reverse, like they said. if the Earth is spinning. Sorry, let me rephrase that. If the ground, forget about the Earth. If the ground is spinning, a plumb bob would not be able to hang plumb.
Yeah.
Spinning as in circular. So yeah, I go with that. Yeah.
Well, see, my first one was
be very precise with your measurements.
My first
I got a
was,
simple one.
Syllogism.
Right. If up and down are opposite directions, then you can never go up by going down.
That's a good one. But it's a true statement, right? It is true. It cannot. You see,
it's simple.
Everything
dude.
that is logical has.
But wouldn't
No,
that
the one I
already
gave
be
you
covered?
isn't true. The one I gave wasn't true. That's why I gave it.
I didn't hear that one. Can you repeat it? Because I disconnected for a quick second there. I had a call.
That's why I made it on the fly just for you.
Yeah, I don't know if you connect down. Sorry.
I'll say it again, no problem.
Thank you.
If the ground is spinning, a plumb bob would not be able to hang plumb.
But
that's bad connection.
Yeah.
You're breaking up, Silent, bro. You're roboting.
You could say he's silent.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with your statement anyway.
Yeah, I think there's some. It doesn't sound right. There's something not quite there about it, but I can't seem to put my finger on it.
Yeah, because it's backwards. What I should... Are you talking about mine, Bev?
Yeah. I think if the ground is
Yeah,
spinning,
because it's
that
backwards.
doesn't sound
How
right.
it should be is... Yeah. I said it because of Silent. Something not true.
Yeah.
What
you,
it
have
should be.
you have to say if there's axial rotation.
Yeah.
No, I don't even think that, because the issue is what is the plumb bob hanging from compared to the spinning ground. Yeah, so if the plumb bob is not hanging from the same reference frame, it's gonna hang plumb, no?
Can you show me something spinning and a plumb bob hanging plumb?
Well, let's say you have a plumb bob hanging in the tree over like a roundabout, like that's kind of thing.
I didn't say a tree. Is the tree spinning?
No, I'm just saying, like, did you hang your plumb bob in the same reference frame as the ground? Is it in a drone?
It's hung from the ground, yeah, of course.
Yeah. Like, I'm agreeing that it wouldn't hang plumb if it's in a circular motion. That's not my issue. I'm just trying to help out, like, where is the issue.
Yeah.
Well, the statement should be this. It shouldn't be if the ground is spinning. It should be like this. If the ground is stationary, then a plumb bob would hang perfectly vertically plumb.
If the plumb bob is hanging from a moving reference frame, P, then, whatever, finish that one.
Yeah.
Not just moving. The spinning is the important part here.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Because you could be moving in a constant rate, and I'm sure the plumb bob will not be... it can still hang plumb, right? It'll bounce around a bit, but you know what I'm saying?
Well, that wouldn't be
it's
plumb
the
then
spinning
if it's
that's the issue.
about.
Yeah, it'll be moving about, yeah. I'm creating like an impossible situation.
Then it wouldn't be plumb.
Isn't that what they do with the pendulum?
No, the issue is the spinning part here. If you have a spinning platform, a pendulum cannot hang plumb. It's impossible.
Yeah, correct. It needs to swing. Now, if you swing a plumb, if you swim a plumb bob, then
no, he's talking about the initial movement of the plumb bob. You couldn't have a plumb bob being stationary if it was on a moving surface.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the whole thing. Yeah.
Yeah, it needs to be stationary.
It's where you use the words in the actual statement. Because if you're switching around slightly, it means totally something different.
Well, you can do it both ways.
Yeah.
You can start off with a stationary platform and make if P then Q, and you can do it with you can start off with a rotating.
You would say if a plumb bob is perfectly still, how would the right terminology be? If a plumb bob is not in motion, then it cannot be attached to a surface that's in motion.
Yeah, you can do it exactly.
That's Coriolis right there.
Yeah, exactly. You can do it both ways.
It's how you structure what you say.
Well, I came up with the first one when I heard Silent say you can't do it on a negative. Sorry, I gotta take a phone call, guys.
No, I didn't say that. What I said. Am I coming through?
Yeah.
Good?
Yeah, you're good.
What I said is that for something to be logical, it has to be a true statement, a statement of truth. So what I'm saying is that you cannot have something that is false being logical.
What you're saying?
Even
that
his statement that if something even his statement of the air rotating, the plane will not be perpendicular, is true, right?
I'm back.
That's true.
Thanks.
It's logical. It's true, but we're not saying that
You're roboting again, bro.
Damn satellites.
Unless someone thinks with a video game, then logic would not be true because they have to have a certain type of logic to make a video game, and that's the only reason why they think they're living on a ball, because they think it's a holographic universe.
We're not doing that.
No. They have to use logic to set parameters.
But who said video games are logical though? Video games are full of illogical things.
Exactly, it's what logical fantasies. That's what it is.
Oh, y'all are missing it. We had this argument the other day. Do you use logic to set parameters for software?
Yeah, but those parameters again have to be true. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense. It's illogical. You cannot do anything.
They just have to line up within the software logically for it to work.
Logically.
Yeah, for the purpose of the game, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's just an on-off switch, isn't it?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Can I we've just got a comment in the live stream text. Does anyone know what a vertical with respect to a cow in Argentina would look like? Because that's a great.
Yeah, sorry. So, just to address Silent real quick again. Yeah. Just to address Silent real quick. You can have a logical argument if P then Q that is invalid.
That's nice. We're talking about things that are concise with the natural world and reality, not some fantasy.
Okay.
I'm talking about truth.
Silent.
So.
Can I answer
the
Silent
question? Was horizontal
Silent?
and vertical, wasn't it?
Let Travis finish, please.
Okay, I got quite.
My point was just my point was just simply to address Silent. I wasn't trying to be argumentative. I'm saying that in an argument you can have a logical argument that is invalid. That's all I was going to try to clarify.
What do you mean by invalid?
Yeah, but
people are listening in now. What do you mean by invalid?
Okay. So I think
that is not true.
okay, I think that the programming discussion is appropriate, right? In the software, it can be logical. However, because the software doesn't comport with reality in the real world, it's not valid, right? Don't go jumping off roofs just because you can in the video game, right?
Right, well, yeah, but what we're doing here is we're minding our P's and Q's. So in doing that, we are sort of making sure we're not setting ourselves up for an invalid logical argument.
Yeah, so what would that type of logic be? Because there are different types of logic.
Let me give you an example of what I'm talking about, right? You cannot say, well, it's logic. Well, P then Q logical statement is, if you have a mother-in-law, P, then Q, you must have or had a partner, right?
Mm-hmm.
And a illogical thing, it would be to say, if you have a mother-in-law and you never had a partner in your life, that's illogical. That's a false. It's false. It's not a true thing that it can happen on the world.
Yeah.
Right. So therefore, it's illogical.
Yeah, you've not.
So logical statements
start
don't
with the
only
false
come
premise.
from truth.
Yeah.
Huh?
You
What is
start
a
with a
false
false
premise?
premise. Yeah, when
What is a
you
false
start with a false premise.
And that's why it's if P then Q and not if P then not Q, you know.
Mm-hmm.
That's correct.
Well, the people that use logics every day are logistic companies, like freight companies. That's why they're called logistics.
No, I don't think so. But I mean, nice try. Yeah, have you got anything, Carlos, from last week? Have you got anything to bring? No? Okay.
And just so we're clear,
wow.
When you're talking about logic, it's the opposite of what Travis said. It can be valid, but then the premises be false. Premises can be false, and the conclusion is valid, but the conclusion would ultimately be false because the premises were false. But in
give us an example.
Context of logic,
give us an example.
You can come to a true statement.
Give us an example.
Yeah. Sure. You could say, if I was a genie, you would be granted 3 wishes, right? Or you could say I'm a genie.
Oh, come
on! If I was a genie, you get granted 3 wishes.
Come on, Kosho.
But one of the premises is not true.
Yeah. Let's not talk about you being genies. That's not what we're doing here. We're checking P's and Q's, right? Nobody's a genie. Yeah, I know, but I mean, like, within the context of what we're talking about, there's no need to say, if I'm Father Christmas, then I'm busy Christmas Eve, right? That's a ridiculous statement to be saying, and nobody in their right mind would bring it. So can you give us something that's a bit more in context?
You asked me for an example. You asked me for an example.
Yeah, I didn't ask you an example of water being wet.
I'll instead give you your example. I'll give you your example instead. You could say if the Earth were flat, then this would happen. If the Earth were flat, then this would happen. The Earth is flat, and the conclusion would be this is happening. And that would be a valid logical argument, regardless if those
sounds
true.
Like you don't really understand what we're talking about, Kosho. To be honest,
I'm responding with Travis said
anybody else
on the validity of a logical argument.
I'll give it any sense here at all.
The same thing happened last week, remember?
Yeah.
No, we're not talking about flat Earth.
Yeah,
I could give a go on this topic.
Who started talking about
when you guys use video games as an example, that was totally fine. But when I used my example, is left field, even though you asked for an example.
Show us how you don't understand logic some more.
I was responding with Travis was saying about logical arguments. That's all.
Yeah. Would you like to?
Yeah, I think maybe you guys should study the first things about logic.
Show us some more what you don't know about logic, please.
I thought this was Logic 101.
I don't know about logic.
This is the base.
For logic, man.
Logical arguments. Logical arguments can have premises that are not true.
Funny guy.
Yeah. Carry on. Did you have a valid if P then Q then? based around vertical and horizontal that'll give you some sort of conclusion that you might end up being happy with.
Yeah, I gave y'all 2 about 20 minutes ago.
Yeah.
You gave unicorns.
So which was your best one then? Of those 2? Do you think you could end up taking it on for next week? Because next week we're going to be after Modus Ponens, Modus Tollens. And then after that, we'll be trying to implement it in reality to give us the final proof that we're after.
Yeah, I'd say they're both tied for first place.
Okay. Nice. I have to admit that the one that we've done, and we've already formulated it and took it to conclusion. And that's the if me and DP joint effort. It's a long time running. If horizontals are parallel to the plane of the horizon, then all horizontals are parallel to each other. Ba-boom. That one. We've done a fair bit of work on it and we've checked it. So coming the next stage, right? I can only see like maybe Buster, Saragaki, Rob being able to find some sort of a yes Q or yes P.
Yeah, I already formulated all of mine. I'm just waiting.
Oh yeah, I can tell.
If I have a heading of due east and I fly in that heading, I'll end up in the south.
So, Beb, did Gummy Bear brow his killer argument? P then Q?
I don't know.
I brought pizza.
Shit, I wasn't at the start of the show, damn it.
So yeah. So it's up to anyone from to come to say how do you prove, because that's what we're after doing now, right? The next step. I mean, we could sort out another one to bring the another formulation of something, if anybody can think of any sort of topic that's been on their mind at the minute, and we could come up with a statement that we could start formulating for next week, and also work on the best ones that we've had from this week to finish them off, with the Modus Ponens, Modus Tollens and all of that.
Is this valid, Bev? If I say P, if you want to have pressurized air, then Q, you must have it contained. Is that a valid one?
That sounds good.
Also applies to water.
Yeah.
I've just stuck one in the chat, Bev, just quickly.
Sir, it should be known that you can't judge validity based on a premise alone.
Oh, that's good.
Sorry, Kosho, I wasn't talking at all.
I'll do. DP.
I mean, he wasn't at the moment.
Do you want my one?
Yeah, go
P.
on.
If it can be shown that 1 arc second, 3 millimeters at 500 meters cannot be measured using standard surveying equipment, Q, then an accuracy of 1 arc second over 500 meters cannot be achieved.
That's a good one.
That's a pretty definite one, that as well. And I got some nice pictures there as well.
Key, if an instrument is not made to measure long distances, then Q, you should not be using it to measure long distances.
Yeah, or if P, surveyors only use plain surveying instruments, then Q, there's only really plain surveyors.
How about this one? If if geodetic surveyors use planar surveying equipment, Q. Geodetic surveyors are planar surveyors.
Along similar lines. Yeah.
How about this one? If it's defined as a circle, then you cannot call it a square.
Yeah, that's
that's a great one.
Law of non-contradiction, though, doesn't it? You know what I mean? Like that's already stated. Like but I mean, yeah, it works.
Because it's been said a lot lately, you know.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, there's some good logic coming.
I do have one slightly off topic about the question earlier with logic and like having some weird logic that it sounds perfectly fine, but if you follow the logic, you may still end up with the wrong conclusion. I have an example if you want to hear it.
Go on.
So, if someone breaks into my home, P, then my dog will alert me, Q.
Yeah, I've heard this one.
Yeah, that will potentially lead to you dying. So, yeah.
So your dog could have died.
For example, yeah.
Yeah.
Or
yeah,
dog could be
Or
dead.
like the guy that broke in.
Yeah, what if somebody had just walked the neighborhood and fed your dog treats over time to get him used to you? Or
yeah, that's my point, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, dogs
Or
are
could have
smart,
just been
they're dumb,
sleeping.
too.
Could have
Or,
just
yeah,
been
or-
sleeping.
Or not feeling well, or it could be all kinds of things.
Well, the problem if you want to make a deductive argument, you need to prove that the premises and the argument are true.
Exactly. Exactly, Josh. Josh knows what he's talking about because
that's why you
logical
say.
statement.
So that
That's
makes
why you say if P.
my logical statement true then.
No, it doesn't. That's the point. Is that what he said about his dog alerting him that someone's breaking into his house, and then he would say, "My dog didn't alert me, therefore no one broke into my house."
No,
That
yeah,
is a valid.
That
logical
wasn't the
statement.
statement.
That's a valid.
No,
That's a valid logical
No,
statement.
but
and
you've
it's
gone.
not true
You've
because
gone.
his dog could have been dead.
You've
Because
gone
the
one
premise
step
is not
further.
true.
That's exactly the point.
You
he's
went one
proving.
step
No, it's
further.
not. I'm not. Listen to me, Bev. Listen to me, Bev. I'm not taking your
Oh my
steps.
God.
I'm having a conversation. All right. So slow down for a second.
No, we
But
just
yeah,
said.
Show is
Kosho,
exclusively
please.
about the first tape, Kosho.
That's what you've just
Yeah,
proved.
the point
that
is-
what
the point is one of those
Saragaki just
premises-
said is true, right? You've
Yeah,
just
exactly.
helped us.
That's the
Okay,
point.
Thank you very much.
That's the point.
We don't need you
That
to come
logical
and tell us
state- that
that's
logical-
the point. Because
that
that it
logical
was the point
statement
of him
was
saying
valid.
it.
That logical
That's
statement was
why I
valid.
said it.
That logical statement was valid, even though it was gotten to with true premises, making the conclusion capable of being not true.
What was the premise
That's
in
how
the
logic
statement,
works.
Kosho? What was the premise?
That if someone breaks into his house, his dog would alert him.
Was that the premise?
That was the premise he
Yeah.
said.
Was it?
That was the two premises. If someone breaks into my house, premise one, my
Yeah.
dog will alert me.
Then.
Then
That-
that's
yeah.
a key part.
Yeah, then, right? If is the premise, right? That's what you're saying. That's your
No, the whole
antecedent.
premise, the
Your
entire premise is
antecedent, we're going to call that, right?
the entire
that
premise
which
is if
must
someone breaks into my
come
house,
Break it
my
down.
dog
first.
will wake me.
Break it
That's
down.
the premise.
What's
Yeah,
the
okay.
if?
That's
what's
the
the-
The
antecedent.
premise is if somebody breaks in my house,
Yes.
my dog will wake me.
No.
Actually, I'm
This
going
is-
to,
No,
I'm
no,
going
no,
to,
no.
I'm going
Please.
to, I'm going to
You're
go
having a-
Right,
You're having a problem
it sounds
with
like
logic,
somebody's
you're not-
come to take over here, right? Can we just stop this now and break it down to, because there might have been people that missed the entire last week or the beginning bit part of this bit, right? We're just after the if then, right? Now,
Yeah.
if you're going to jump it all together and call it all the premise, then that's up to you. But we've been calling it antecedent consequent. And there is
Yeah,
a
Bev, I've got it.
relationship between the two. It's called if, then.
Oh, I've got
That's
a
what
good
we're
one.
dealing with,
So,
okay?
Okay, so if Google's topographical view has two planar surfaces, being the seabed and the ocean, being level, then it cannot be. There cannot be a curve, and it cannot be a globe.
What happened with the
I'm
dog?
not for sure with that.
Can you?
Google, but you know, you might have a problem with starting it off with that. So, you guys earlier with the thing, Kosho, like you were helping us prove that when we said if somebody breaks into his house, right, that was what we would call the antecedent. That must happen for the consequent to occur. Now, he was setting it up that it was fallacious because there are multiple. It's not a if-then, because then isn't necessarily a consequent of somebody breaking into the house, right?
Exactly.
So that's what we were talking about.
And that was my original point.
Yes.
To understand the logic on that statement, you gotta break it down properly, Kosho, which is what you're not doing.
I don't know. It's you guys are using the term logic as you please. That's fine. But in actual logic, an if-then statement, if-then, that entire if-then, that's a premise. If something, then something else, that's a premise. It's not two premises. It's not a premise and whatever else. That entire statement is one statement and a premise. Just so you're clear.
That's what you call
No,
it,
it's
right?
two statements.
That's what you think.
It's not two statements, my man. It doesn't make sense that
It
it's
is
two
two
statements.
statements.
Write that down in two sentences, and write that down without writing it down in one sentence. That's
Just
one sentence.
write it
That's one
down as
statement.
a if
That's
then.
one logical statement. That's how it is.
Kosho, we don't need logic lessons from you. You're way behind.
I know.
You want to do
you
it
need
on
them from a kindergarten
on
teacher.
your own
Yeah.
if you want. Thank you very much.
So let me flesh it out a bit, and it might make a bit more sense. Go on, I'll go. You go first. Go on.
Oh, for me, okay. Here's the way I perceive what's being said. Logic is used to determine or to set up your syllogism. For your conclusion to be true, both premises have to be true. If one or both premises can be shown to be false, then your conclusion is false. Make it simple.
Let me flesh this out for you. So I'll show why this is a premise example. So if someone breaks my house, my dog will alert me. Therefore, owning a dog will ensure that I am alerted when someone breaks into my house, because that's the conclusion.
Well, we're not doing that. Like I say, we're here just to do the P's and Q's. Like Rags has just said, we're trying to make sure that the P and the Q are factual. They're real, right? There's no fallacy available within them. Within the statements we've got some really good ones, right?
What's the conclusion of owning a dog?
We're not talking about that. That is a bad explanation, right?
If somebody breaks into your house.
It was
the point of bringing that up, guys, was to make the point that it's bad logic.
I think a lot of these people missed the beginning of the show where we were just going over logical statements.
Babe, this is telling. Yeah, you're correct. This is telling. It tells you how many people don't even understand what we're talking about. The logic. It makes.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Because you haven't reached a conclusion.
All we're after doing. Oh, sorry, Druss, but all we're after doing here is making it simple, right? Now, Saragaki is going to tell you now exactly why he said it. Please, Saragaki, go.
Yeah, there was a question asked whether it's possible to form a logical statement that it sounds good, sounds like it's a true statement, yet the conclusion will turn out wrong, or potentially turn out wrong if you follow the logic to the T.
What we're
looking at is for the statement not to have any flaws.
Exactly,
right,
which is why that's what we want. That's good logic. Exactly. It has no flaws. That's why I brought up this one as an example of a flawed argument or statement to begin with. So it's not any really need to argue that the statement is, a bad logical statement. That's the point of me bringing it up in the first place. There is no argument.
can I get back in here real quick? I think we're kind of messing something up. Logic is used to determine if premises or statements are true. It's a method to determine that. So you can't have a logically valid argument, but the conclusion or the premises be false, but it still be logically valid.
That's not true at all, though. Logic is not set up to see if premises are true or not. Logic is the structure of the argument, and premises can be false, and you have a valid logical argument, and the conclusion will then be ultimately false, even though it ended up with a valid conclusion.
Kosho, that doesn't make any sense at all.
No way.
Yeah, dude, that makes perfect sense. The example that he gave with the dog is a perfect example.
Hold on a second.
Taking logic in college now.
Can I respond? I took philosophy and logic in college too. My point was saying you can to make a premise, right? You can even use logic to determine that premise. Like, the Earth rotates. Well, is that can you logically validate that, or can that be validated logically? Yes. Then the next conclusion, next premise, you can determine that logically. You put those together using logic, determine if your conclusion is true. But if your two of your premises are false, then your conclusion will be false. Or one or two of your, I think you know what I'm trying to say. If your premises, one or both your premises are false, then your conclusion will be false.
That's what we're doing here. We're checking the P's and Q's. You might have missed some of the earlier stuff.
I may have.
If
I'm working.
P then Q, right?
Has anyone gone through different, to judge whether something is valid and sound?
Do you want to, Rob? Are you still here? Do you want to?
Yeah, man. You want me to give my statement?
Again? Go on. Yeah.
Okay. I have a logical statement. If vertical is perpendicular to horizontal, then all verticals are parallel to one another.
See the way it works.
Well, again, that I would say that's not sound.
Why?
Why not?
Because a horizontal doesn't. You can have a horizontal with one angle. So, say we take a horizontal from one side of a triangle, and then we take a horizontal of the other side of the triangle, and then we make two perpendicular lines from that.
Sorry. Say that again.
One more time, please.
Go on, yeah. You've got two lines perpendicular to two sides of a triangle.
Right, so just sides of a triangle.
Mm-hmm. And we take a perpendicular line, 90 degree.
Yeah.
From that line, and then a 90 degree from the other angle.
Yeah, we're finding the.
Are those two lines horizontal? Let's just say the Earth is a triangle. Are those two lines horizontal to each other?
No.
No, that's the problem with argument.
What do you mean? I don't understand. I think you don't understand what horizontal is. You've got horizontal mixed up between perpendicular and, haven't you?
Well, let's just say we have a triangle and we have a force making sure that all plums are perpendicular to the sides of those triangles. Therefore, they would be plumb.
What?
What is going on here?
I think you. Okay, I'm going to drop it because obviously
he's trying to tell me the problem with my logical statement. I haven't heard it yet.
I hope you guys are getting this live. I mean, this is great. Carry on. Tell us again. What's horizontal with the triangle?
Stop taking the piss out of people because it's not very generous. It's not very nice. I also saw the snarky little video you posted on 24/7. So don't try and.
I hate saying that in you. You're supposed to be telling me what's wrong with my logical statement, right?
Okay, let's put it.
Do you need to hear my logical?
I don't.
Do you need to hear my logical statement again?
I don't. So again, I will make another argument which is quite similar. So let's say that the Earth is a sphere, and plumb lines are perpendicular to the force of gravity. They follow the force of gravity, and from that we can establish a horizontal line. Those two horizontal lines will not meet at 180 degrees.
Do you want to hear mine from earlier?
Yeah, go
Rob, could I hear your statement again, please?
Yeah, Rob, go on.
Go on. I'd like to hear your statement again, please, Rob. Come on, carry on.
Rob Klein, it's your time to shine. Your statement again, sir?
Can I just get a check of this? Would all sides of the triangle be horizontal?
We're on a sphere now. I'm going to use the sphere and the force of gravity.
I'd like to hear Rob's, because
Rob's gone. It might be working. He might be getting told off. He might be staring at brake pads. You never know.
Can anybody reiterate what Rob exactly said, please?
Oh, you've gone quiet.
Yeah, I can restate Rob's one if you want.
Did I hear Druss say the sides of a triangle are parallel?
No.
I want to hear exactly what Rob said, because it was fucking brilliant.
He said if plumb lines are always perpendicular to a horizontal...
I will restate my statement then, so you can listen again.
Take your time, Rob.
I do it very slowly and concisely. If vertical is perpendicular to horizontal, then all verticals are parallel to one another.
That's changed.
Nope, that's the way I wrote it. That's the way I've said it every time.
You said plumb last time.
The word
He
plumb
never
never
said plumb lines. He never said plumb lines. Yeah.
In that case, I misheard it. That was my mistake.
No problem.
I'll accept that.
That's good. So,
do you want to hear mine from earlier? I think it will help you out in yours.
Yes. Yeah. Some Glober had a really good one.
I had this one earlier. If vertical is determined by the center of a spherical Earth, P, then verticals cannot be parallel, Q.
That is another logical statement. Thank you.
Have fun proving it.
I'm not.
That's not what we're doing yet. That's not what we're doing yet.
He said if.
Yeah.
If plumb lines are not parallel, then you must use a plumb bobs to establish that.
Yeah.
Well, that would be fallacious, because you'd have to compare two plumb bobs to each other.
Don't worry, guys. I'm mute buster right now.
You couldn't use
We're not
one.
there yet.
Yeah.
What's fallacious
hey,
about?
worry not. I'm fixing the mute buster any minute, so don't worry about what.
If the United Nations came out tomorrow and said, "Yep, it's flat," I'm sorry, all the ballers are going to have a big problem.
Yeah, they're going to go start debunking them.
And the chances of that are the same as me winning the national lottery, considering I never do it.
Or going to space.
Right.
Or
Yeah, we know they're not going to come out on TV and say that shit.
Or talking sense.
This is your own personal journey, bro.
See, the problem with Dress is you never got off flat Earth to begin with, to even get to globe.
Is that my buddy?
Stop telling me what I think, Crit. It's really
we're not
embarrassing
doing that now.
for you.
There's no need for you guys
Yeah,
to
let's
do a
not go there.
personal thing. We're just
Logic.
trying to keep on the logic, please.
Is that my buddy Crit?
Yeah,
No.
Leo, did you just hear what we said? You got a logical argument, Leo?
Well, my logical argument is Crit is cool.
Leo, you just got here. Do you need to hear my logical statement or the Glober guy's logical statement and come here with your own logical statement?
I could care less about your logical statement or anybody.
All right,
else.
maybe you should go on mute.
Then go on mute. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Which logical statements have been said so far?
Many.
I'll give you mine again. If vertical is perpendicular to horizontal, then all verticals are parallel to one another.
That wouldn't work with the globe model, right?
And we're not talking about
Not
globe
worried
models.
about-
Logic
Don't worry
statements.
about any models. Just, is it a good
Worry about if it
statement?
logically stands. Yeah.
No, but that's if you're assuming that all
Not no, but
horizontals are parallel
that.
to each other.
Then you got to come up with your own logical statement.
Yep. If you don't think Rob's is good, try and fix it.
Okay, I'll fix it.
But I think Rob's is good.
If verticals are perpendicular to horizontal and all horizontals are parallel, then all verticals are parallel.
Ooh, chuck in another and in there.
Yeah, I've been wondering about that.
Necessary part.
If P is P, then Q.
Mine was just a P and Q.
Yeah, if P and P.
If P,
then
then Q.
If P and P. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm a PMP.
Logical syllogism then?
That does leave you with
the
two P's to prove, right? Doesn't
yeah.
it?
If he makes two statements, I would think so, right? Then it's a logical syllogism.
I thought that's the difference
breaking up. Is that
like this?
Your voice changer's going out.
Right? Yeah.
Your voice changer's going out.
That was pretty bad.
That was a joke. Yeah, robot, but.
Can you do one P and two Qs?
I would say to keep away from it, right? Because you're just adding in flaws, aren't you? There's ways that people will say, oh, well, you can have that one, but you can't have that one. So therefore, that would make that not true and all of that. So you're best off.
The only thing I would say,
trying to prove.
I think Rob's is great.
Yeah.
The only thing that I would change is that I would say all verticals along that same horizontal are parallel. But his still stands good.
His is incomplete, if we're being,
There's no such thing.
No, I stand behind my statement.
You can't just say that. You have to break it down.
Yeah.
I did.
I stand behind my statement.
Non sequitur, because it assumes that all horizontals are parallel without stating it.
It's a if-then.
I only have one horizontal.
It's only
Like
if
check.
verticals are perpendicular, right? That's it. If they are, then his statement says that. I'd say he's really sound because I'm gonna give him some help. That to proper back his
that
statement.
only be true in a two-dimensional perspective.
What?
Vertical
what do you
in
mean
two dimensions.
Yeah, don't be silly. There's no such thing as a two-dimensional vertical.
What's going on here?
Wouldn't that only be true in two dimensions?
Logic's killing him.
No, vertical is not two-dimensional.
3-dimensional.
Bloody hell, Dross.
I don't think that's true in 3 dimensions. I don't
think
think
it
you
through,
can
buddy.
demonstrate that.
Demonstrate it. You see it all the time. Just think it through, man. Step back 1 second. Maybe you're too close.
Yeah, I mean,
Well,
come on, Dross.
we're talking about Euclidean geometry, which is two-dimensional.
No, Dross.
Book
Did
11.
you never get
What?
to book 11?
No, he forgot book 11.
Wow. Have you only been
I'm gonna
hearing
fuck
people
off
that are
because
talking
I'm
about
fed
it?
up with the sarcasm going on here.
No,
And
Dross, we
basically,
told you to
can all
step back, man.
fuck
You kept
yourself.
on.
No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Okay, well, you can.
I'm
Okay,
fed
no
up
problem.
with
You're
this.
triggered.
Yeah.
We asked you to step back from it, that you were way
Yeah.
off, and he kept going, right? He just wouldn't listen.
Okay, sorry, Dave. Just give me a second. Druss, we're still waiting for you to show me the flaw in my logical statement if you want to come back.
He left.
Yeah.
Well, let me just summarize what happened. He never did what Rob asked. He just went off the cliff on that. And then he just started trying to talk about 2D with vertical, which is even further off the cliff. And when we asked him to take a step back, right, go on mute, you're too close to it, step away and think about it more and then come back. He got so triggered he left and called us all kind of names on the way out. Now, I don't know if it's the logic or if he was just tired or whatever, but this is what happens, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
If you analyze the situation one more time, I'm muting you.
No, it's spot on.
Correctly. If you analyze that correctly again, you're getting muted.
I was teasing, Chris.
Yo, like in a way though, it's like a self mute is good because he can't cry later about that he didn't have a voice.
And that's all I asked him to do. Go on mute, step back, take a think about it, and then come back, right? I didn't ask him not to talk about it again, but he's way off. He's having several people tell him he's way off, just step back. And by the way, Buster mutes me when I'm right, and I mute him when he's wrong. He gets muted a lot. And I hardly ever get muted because I'm hardly ever right. Oh yeah, by the way, I've been listening, while I'm at work, but keep going, man. This is one of my favorites now. I used to not like Logic too much.
This is awesome.
Yep.
Yeah.
They'll come back. They'll calm down and come back. He just got kind of agitated. He's all right.
Can we clarify the difference between the if P then Q statement and the logical syllogisms that people are trying to put in?
Go on, what do you mean by logical? Like we're trying to make this as simple as possible for everyone listening, right? So
absolutely,
let's try not to expand it. Let's try and make it more simple, right? So, what sort of problems are that you see, right, within this, the way we're laying it out?
Well, nothing other than, like you're saying, some people don't understand just the whole premise of what you're doing to begin with, because like in the statement with the dog, for example, I think you would have to turn that into a two-statement logical syllogism, like saying, my dog always wakes me up when somebody comes in the house. My dog didn't wake me up, therefore, nobody came into the house. You can't just crunch it all together and just call it a modus tollens if P then Q. I think that if P then Q relies on the one statement being valid and then the conclusion being validated by that valid statement.
Well, that's where the beauty of when we start off with it, we decided to start off with a very simple statement that vertical and horizontal are perpendicular, right? Now that is a geometric statement that gives us leeway to make it as simple as possible for you to expand with your if P then Q, right? The statement that was given about the dog was given because there's so many flaws within it that it's got problems all over the place, right? There's so many, you can't draw a definite conclusion from that statement. Because, like I say, your dog could be ill, could be sick, it could be dead. The guy might not have broke in while the dog was asleep or something. I mean, who knows? It could have been your dad or something that the dog wouldn't bark at that broke in. I mean, there's flaws in it all over the place, which is what we're trying to get away from by checking the P's and Q's, right?
No, I would suggest not using anything alive. That would be a good start. Just trying to help y'all a little bit. This is logic. If P then Q is day one, right, of class.
Yeah.
I think to make it simple is focus on determining if the premises are true, and then you build the statement. You know what I mean? So, does the dog always bark when someone comes in? If you can say no, he doesn't, then you can't. That statement is false.
Let's just stick to the vertical and horizontal, right?
And it's improvable, right? You're not going to ever prove whether that dog barks for how long. Like, you're not stating how long. It's improvable. So in the end, it's going to become illogical once you try and start proving.
Well, no, your conclusion. Your conclusion is false. So you don't know, so you can't prove it. So it's I think logic is. Well, I don't know. I don't know if logic. I think it's better to say it's either true or false.
Well, it should. I
think it's better to say that.
It should be the statement at the beginning should be either true or false. Right now, stating that your dog would know it is not provable, either true or false.
Right. Exactly.
Right? And that's where the problem comes in. Whereas when we state things about vertical and horizontal, then that's a truth element to that. It's either is or it isn't.
Well, here's another way to say it too, though. 80% of the time, my dog will bark when an intruder comes into the house. Now, that statement can be true. There is going to be times where he may not bark,
Not for
but
me.
it's still going to be true.
I haven't got a dog.
Well, I'm just saying.
Me neither.
I mean, like, your experience can just
that one is true. That one is true, Paul, because you have a margin that gives you that that doubt, right? So that statement that you just said, it is logical.
Right, because like you could say, my experience with my dog out of 365 days out of the year, 80% of the time he barks when someone comes in. So your experience of that dog makes it true.
But that dog could still be dead, so it doesn't
I wouldn't put money on that one.
Yeah, no. But when you say the 80%, then anytime that the dog doesn't bark at someone, you put that into that percentage. You see, so it doesn't. The statement doesn't become false at any point. It's always true. Either he barks or he doesn't bark.
Yeah, can we
it's
get
always
off
true.
the dog?
Yeah, please.
Sure.
Right? The whole point with bringing that up is the fact that it's full of holes. Again, we have to state it again. That's not what we're after, showing people the holes in other arguments. We're trying to make our own, formulated around vertical and horizontal. So it's much better if you want to use the examples that we've give you tonight as an example, if you want to try and find any flaws or say about how we go to prove it, then use the ones that we've been given. Please do.
So Rob, maybe one more time, nice and slow. Can you give us yours?
Hey, can we get the Globe guy? The Globe guy had a really good one, to be honest.
The Globe guy. If vertical is
I don't know who it was.
This, yeah, it was me. If vertical is determined, sorry, Gaki.
Okay, thank you.
If vertical is determined by the center of a spherical Earth, P, then verticals cannot be parallel, Q.
There you go. What do you think about that?
Okay, perfect. That was a good one. Can I give mine now?
Go on.
If vertical is perpendicular to horizontal, then all verticals are parallel to one another. And I stand behind that statement.
Beautiful.
I'll die on that hill.
Well, they're both. Would you say they're both valid as statements?
Yep. I think they're both if you know.
If P then Q.
I think they're both logical statements in the beginning. Yeah, I think one's going to fall apart.
100%.
And they're both provable statements.
Well,
no?
yeah, one of them set up for a modus ponens, and the other one is set up for a modus tollens. They're beautifully formed together that go as a pair, that go to show logic and how logic is done.
So, Bev, he said both are true. That's where I have a problem.
No,
because
no,
that's
not what he said. That's not what I said.
Nobody said they're both true.
Not you, Bev. Not you. The other guy.
No, I don't think he said they're both true either.
What did you say? Both are provable.
Yeah,
right?
One of them's set up for a modus ponens. The other one is set up for a modus tollens. But
yeah,
that's a bit later on, right? But yeah, they're both valid statements, as in a if then. If can anybody fault either of those statements?
I can, as an if then, I can't.
Any of you guys, the Globers that are in here?
What was the Glober one? Can you repeat it?
If vertical is determined by the center of a spherical Earth, P, then verticals cannot be parallel, Q.
I'll tell you where I have a problem with that statement. Vertical, by definition, is not subject to a spherical Earth, by definition.
No, but you're
giving you're giving an extra property.
It's defined. In his statement, it's defined as up to the center of the Earth.
Yeah, but a vertical cannot be that.
Well,
by definition.
His logical statement says that it's defined to the center of the Earth. A spherical Earth.
The whole statement starts with
hold
an
on.
if.
I'm assuming that we're using words that we know the meanings, right?
Say it again.
Yes, we know the meaning. Listen, yes. The statement starts with an if. So that means after you formulate the statement, you can go back and prove if it's true. After that.
Go ahead, if. What is the if?
If vertical is determined by the center of a spherical Earth.
Pause there.
P.
If vertical is don't worry about the P yet. If
That
vertical
was the P.
If vertical is set by the center of the Earth.
Center of a spherical Earth. If vertical is determined by the center of a spherical Earth, P. If it starts with an if.
Yeah, but I have a problem with this. Maybe somebody can help me. How does a point set the vertical?
Okay, step
No,
back. I'm gonna tell you like I told Drugs.
Yeah.
Step back and think about it a little bit, and then come back because
No, I'm asking you to help me.
No, hang on.
Not
Silent, write it down. Silent, write down his statement and read it back to yourself.
Yeah, because it's definitely a good beginning. This
is.
is all we're looking for, right? It doesn't have to be. We're not looking
Not
for
to me.
the end. Yeah, but you're jumping ahead.
Yeah, you're not seeing the end, the goal at the minute. You're still
right.
I'm sorry, but I'm attacking I'm attacking the first statement.
Yeah, but
I'm not even getting to the second part. How is that wrong? I'm not looking forward to anything in front of the first part of the statement. I'm attacking that part in itself.
Okay, and I get your complaint. So
it seems like I cannot do that.
Well,
let me address you. Yeah. The statement starts with an if, meaning the statement does not say that the premise is true. It literally starts with an if, and you can go back later to check whether or not your premise actually is true. That's not the point of the statement itself.
Right. Well done. That's what makes it a premise, right? The if.
Mm-hmm. You can either negate the premise or affirm it.
And I want to thank Saragaki. Big up.
That's the best Glover one I've heard. Am I talking? Am I roboting, guys?
No, you're fine now.
That's the best one about a sphere that I've. No, I think it was my fault. But that's the best one I've heard about a sphere yet. Like, not the shape of the Earth, just a sphere. That's the best one I've heard yet.
Are you sure?
So follow through with it. Well, I didn't hear most of them. So
there you go.
That's
lately
I've heard.
The one you might have heard before. If the Earth is a spherical object, P. Everybody will like that one, right? This might help you, Silent. Right?
I forgot about this one.
This might help you, Silent, right? If the Earth is a spherical object, P, then the surface of liquid water must curve. Q.
Okay, well, his is a close second.
Yeah, it is.
Thank you.
But, I mean, it's along the same lines, right? It's just
I specifically didn't do that one just because it's Bev's.
Yeah.
But you think that one's good too, right?
That is a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one's great.
Do you get that one, Silent? Do you understand that?
I get it.
It's based on the if.
It's just that vertical. Yeah, that one is better for me than the vertical. The vertical lines have a meaning, right? You cannot have two verticals crossing each other because then there's not vertical anymore. That's why the vertical one to me doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
But the water one, it does.
It makes sense that the water must curve.
You know also what makes that one a good one too? It's actually a definition-based one. You define what a circle is and you define what a curve is. And once you define it, it determines whether it's true or not.
I'm starting to think you got it out of a book.
True.
I like mine. If plumb lines are not parallel, then you must use plumb bobs to prove that.
Terrible, Buster. It's terrible.
You're on mute.
You didn't get that out of a book. I know that.
No.
At least you didn't put live animals in it.
No.
What?
I got one better. I got a better one. If you want this one, if a connected liquid, i.e., water, is in hydrostatic equilibrium, then the pressure is the same at all points on a horizontal line.
I know what Buster's got in his back pocket for that one. That one's beautiful.
You're gonna make everybody leave and trigger them. You gotta take it easy on them, Buster. Yeah, I like all of those actually. Yeah. Those 4, Rob's, and the other 3 are really solid, right? I think we can build.
Hey man, let's not take anything away from Sarugaki. I do think, as a Glover, his logical statement is pretty solid.
Ah, fuck you, Rob.
Oh, yeah, Rob, what the fuck?
I still think mine's better, though.
They're all equally valid.
If the Earth is flat, P, then the Earth will be 2D, Q.
Yeah, that's a simple one.
I like that too.
You're just digging now.
Told you not to rob mine. Y'all are dancing on my next one.
No, you gave him props earlier. I'm using it.
That one's definitely making into a GIF, isn't it? These ones.
Yeah, I think
we can work all of these into.
All right, mine now.
Hang on, who's the Glober guy? What's his name?
Sarugaki.
Sarugaki.
I gotta remember that.
Up.
Well,
he's not
welcome, man. That was
Glover.
He's not a Glover. Well,
no, I just got that argument to help them out.
Sarugaki. Okay, I'll remember you now. Because yeah, you got a lot of your statement was perfect to me, or the beginning of it is. So I hope you build on that.
Oh yeah, thank you.
The way you present yourself and civil and coming up with that. If you came up with that by yourself, that's good.
Yeah, thank you. I did.
Yeah, we've got some talent, you know.
All right, here's my most talents. Ready?
Speaking of non-talent.
If I hit you in the face, P, then you'll be bleeding from the face, Q.
Depends on how hard you hit.
It's still a logical argument. Statement.
You gotta hit him with your purse.
Yeah.
Stop it.
Depends on how much change you have in your purse.
I'll tell Tina.
This logic is fun, man. I'm telling you. I hated it in school. I'm talking about hated it.
Well, it's
Don't
the
try
same
and
as
reason.
It's the same as maths and geometry, right? Once you get into it and hit the base level of it, then it's inspirational. But because you're actually learning it, not like the way it was taught in schools. It's not like that, and it's a sort of lesson in life as well, isn't it? Because life isn't like that you taught as well. Once you realise that you're the one in control of it all, then it's up to you to find whatever the truth is. It's your personal journey. This logic is just it's just fun. It helps you try and work stuff out for yourself, because there's loads of little steps along the way that you will realise that you didn't actually realise what was going on around you, because the world is illogical at every step when you look at it. It's just how much you can deal with and how much you want to go back to living in it or not. It gets tricky. I don't want to cause anybody any harm or anything and cause any stress on people, but I mean, it's pretty obvious, isn't it? Some people are having an adverse reaction to this. Basic logic. It's because some stuff just doesn't seem logical. It's hard to fit non-reality into a logical statement. You get stuck. It's hard enough to do the logic to start off with. You know, these little statements, they sound simple when you hear them, but there's a lot of work and a lot of thought that's gone into formulating them. Did you find that, everyone, when they were doing it? Or did it, like, when it came easy and it felt natural, right? It sounds good and you check it, or was the problems with it when you were doing it? Because I know my one. had been built up for ages. Because you sort of play the bait and switch, don't you, with the if the Earth is a spherical object. Is that why you went with Saragaki? You like that one?
Come again?
Do you like the idea of coming at it from the opposite angle?
Yeah, because I figured since the original.
Wait.
Was...
Whoa.
So Saragaki, you're not a Glober?
No.
Son of a bitch!
You thought he was a Glober?
Just because he formulated some logic.
He's in the fucking Discord every day.
I feel like such a dick.
Christ, Rob. Wake up, will you?
No, my point was that around the statement of horizontal and vertical being perpendicular to each other, I figured that everybody's gonna go for some logic around that. Poor Globers, I'm gonna give them one.
Yeah. Well,
so, Bev, tell me about what you think about this. If P, if in a statement you violate the law of non-contradiction, then Q, you cannot use it to postulate a logical statement.
I like that one.
Yeah, but that's one of the things that comes first anyway, right? It's just one of the basic laws of doing logic, right? You can't violate the law of non-contradiction.
Law of identity and
Now, can we talk about these vertical lines in the sphere crossing each other, so that we can invalidate that postulation?
Next week.
Yeah.
Next week, Silas.
That's why I stop and think about how to postulate it, right? So that the P and Q, I attack that part, and then now we can talk about these vertical lines crossing each other, which it violates the law of non-contradiction.
It's
so therefore it cannot be built. Thank you.
It's set up for a modus tollens, isn't it?
I will say I spent a lot longer formulating the modus tollens and modus ponens to the ones than the actual statement.
Yeah. Did you find that you changed your statement as well as you were formulating your ponens and tollens to them?
Yes, a few times. I would go back and forth until I finally arrived at something that made sense.
Is lying.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good, right? But everybody listening in, this isn't a simple thing that you can just do. You backwards and forwards formulating the ponens and the tollens, or however you want to do it. I mean, this argument and this logical thing that we're getting into, right? And the reductio ad absurdum, you will surely find pretty simple to be able to do. For the modus tollens, right? And it's going to be fun because you'll end up laughing at some of the stuff, the ridiculousness that occurs when you start formulating these logical statements, and it'll be fun.
Yeah, going into modus tollens and ponens next week, that will be hilarious.
Yeah.
Yes. Today was hilarious. Did you hear some of the people?
Yep.
I mean, come on.
P equals Q.
So, is there anybody that, if we got like an argument that's been going round, that we can make a statement for, that we can use to come up with P's and Q's for next week when we come back with the modus tollens, polens, or whatever of the ones that we've done this week, right? We keep a rolling formulation of P's and Q's and the modus tollens of the other argument, then we can, just keep it all going, make it flow a bit better.
They like talking about these distances. Could we form something off that?
Distances based on triangles?
You mean like
yeah, I agree. Let's go there.
Horizontal distance?
Is anyone taking the minutes for this?
Horizontal at a point. Pardon?
Is anyone jotting down all of the different logical arguments that
Well,
you made.
I can repeat mine if somebody wants to write
No,
it down.
no.
I've already written it down in a chat thread on one of
It's all
Bev's
live,
videos
isn't it?
called a Night of Logic or something. It was a pretty funny video.
This is going out
Threw my
live,
logical
so
statement in there.
anyone can go back and look over them or listen to it again or whatever, right?
Yeah,
Jot
of
them all
course, but
down.
that's not very concise. I was just hoping that one of you guys, at least, was like
I don't know.
jotting them down.
You want to put yourself forward for secretary?
I would if I was.
There you go. Next time, right? This time, you just have to remember your favourites and do whatever you want with them. But I mean, like, as far as what was the problem with the distance thing? Would that be the triangle distance problem?
Are you talking to me?
No, I don't. Whoever it was that was saying about, that we can bring for next week. I want to, I've not been around much. What was the argument related to distance?
Yeah, they take 3 different points from a certain distance and say that they get a spherical excess triangle over 180 degrees.
Oh, wow. Well, there you go then. How about that then? What is a statement we could make about triangles? How about if I make a statement that triangles only have 180 degrees internal angles? Would that be a statement that you could either prove true or false? It's like just a statement regarding triangles.
That can be proven to be true or false. Yes.
So would that be a good statement to go forward with, that we could implement the whatever you want to do about the distances on triangles and spherical axis in the triangles or whatever? You surely could formulate a logical argument to disprove it. The Globers could, if they can do anything with excess angles. So yeah, we go with that for next week then. Triangles only have 180 degrees internal angles. Formulate some logic around that, and then come back next week with a modus tollens, ponens, whatever you want, of any of the logical statements that we've left out in the.
All right, so I don't have to formulate the modus tollens for my logical statement.
I'll give you some
Oh
stuff
no,
that
I
help
can.
you.
I just, if somebody else wants to try and modus tollens, they're allowed to. Yes.
Yeah, just if they can
will
come
bring
back
my
with
own.
a more concrete proof, right? Or maybe some even way to do it in reality, right? Like if you can come up now, the ideal thing would be if you could come up with a yes, this would happen, therefore, yes, Q, therefore yes, P, right? If you can do that in a way that can actually be performed in reality too, right? Then that's got to be what we're after, right? A logical statement that says if this happens, if this, then this happens, then you can go, well, look, yes, this does actually happen. And then be able to prove that it actually does happen. Then you're definitely on your way to a proper formulated proof.
Well, that's a problem in itself, Beb. They don't believe you can prove anything in this life. So, good luck with that one.
Yeah, I'm not trying to get them. This is for us lot, right? This is the proofs for us. I'm not trying to convince.
Yeah, it's not
anybody else.
science either. Yeah, it's not science either. Science doesn't prove things, but math definitely proves things.
Logic. Logic is where your proofs come from. It's the implementation of that logic is what you call proof. and it'll be your personal proof. Hopefully.
Somebody was just asking if someone was writing these down. I was writing them down as I was listening. If anyone needs the notes.
So you say only with maths we can prove things?
Proofs are within geometry. That's where they come from.
I didn't say only.
Proofs.
I just said
I'm
we were
asking you.
talking about science. Yeah, no, I hear you. No, I didn't say math is the only way to prove things. But
I'm
what
asking
I said is science doesn't prove things, but math does. And geometry does. I only say
disagree with
science
that.
doesn't prove things. I know. I only say science doesn't prove things because that's what the Glovers will tell us is science doesn't prove things. So I was just agreeing with them. I honestly think science does prove things. But
Oh, okay. Because I was gonna say, well, all maths are based on logic, right? That therefore means that logic cannot actually make statements that can prove things to be true or false.
Well, yeah, if you think about it, right, what we're doing and the way they were talking about premises and all of that. If you think about the antecedent consequent, right, one that must come before the other one. Well, think about science and what science is: cause and effect.
Mm-hmm.
It's antecedent, consequent. You're just doing the same thing. You are formulating a logical statement that will give you some sort of proof at the end of it. Now, the better you can do your science, find the cause and the effect, put it all together in a nice package and prove that happens every time. Well, that's sort of a proof if you can put the logic with it. So the arguments that occur within all of this, this proves things and this doesn't prove things, it's all proofs personal. It's not something that, you can say that this can happen and this can't happen, right? At the end of this, you're going to end up with a logical statement that would give you a proof. You still have to go and find the proof to realize it. Otherwise, it just stays in it as a logical proof. I like it because I found proof for myself.
Could it be said that if the scientific method is the only way to prove things, then mathematics alone can't be said to prove things without employing the scientific method?
Well, the literal proof comes from geometry, so that's not the scientific method, it's geometry.
Well, which came first, geometry or the math?
Geometry.
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 Let's have that argument that never happened today. I was listening to you guys. Oh my God, as I laughing my ass off, there was some funny moments that I had to record that were beyond belief. If no one heard the conversation
as much fun as us
with Gummy earlier, I actually wrote up some kind of silly but possibly applicable if this then that statements to complement the conversation I was hearing. Like if someone spirals and lies, then they could be said to be splilering. Yeah, that's not a good one. If oblate spheroids are only ball-like, then people who like balls shouldn't try to say it has a definite radius. Okay.
I was thinking,
is that a good one? It's actually a good one. If someone sees the light, then they have seen the light. You guys maybe had to hear the conversation earlier because there were some funny moments.
Yeah, with Travis.
This Travis saying he saw the light, and they weren't saying anything about it, but just, oh yeah, I saw the light. But then these ballers jump in like, well, what do you mean by that? You saw it. What are you trying to say? What are you inferring?
I mean, at 6 miles, I could see the light.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all I'm saying. It's so funny.
Sorry, I'm just trying to jump in here. I was listening to that earlier too, and I wanted to make a joke about it because it seemed like I didn't want to add fuel to the fire, but I was gonna say like a sphere that's square would be like when I was a younger, something that was square was considered like really lame or dumb. So like the globe, it's quite square.
Right? That's funny. Totally.
Or like I was thinking too, like if someone is gonna mock flat Earth when flat Earth should have been their starting point. If they followed science, they would be indignant, stupid, and ignorant.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, you can make up all kinds of words from what happened earlier. It was hilarious.
Yeah, just combining like a conjunction, like.
Yeah.
Well, we're not really into making up words, although.
Well, that's the whole thing. Yeah, that's why it's funny.
Yeah, that's kind of. Sorry.
I have a couple more on that one. Just kind of on top of the seeing the light. If someone thinks seeing the light from a distance of 9 miles, if someone thinks they've seen the light from a distance of 9 miles, then they must not also be inferring that seeing the source of the light means anything.
That one's not bad.
If geometric shapes this actually might be a good one. If geometric shapes have no definitions, then using shapes to perform geometry is pointless.
That's also good.
And then I got some more actually applicable ones. Like if the curvature of Earth can physically obstruct objects in the distance, then this curvature cannot be confused with something that's only apparent.
Well, see, I'd aim at trying to stop the confusion of curvature, because what is curvature? Like, when people say the curvature of Earth, I mean, what exactly is that? I mean, how vague a term is that?
Right. And if you're saying it's blocking something, then it's a physical thing.
Well, it could
not
be
an apparent thing.
Does a mountain curve? And can it block something? Well, yes and yes.
Sure. Right.
So
it's only on the curvature. It's not the curvature. It's on the curvature.
What is the curvature? That's the thing. I mean,
right. There isn't curvature. That's the problem.
Well, anybody listening in that isn't aware of what you're talking about, what would they think? The curvature of Earth. I mean, it is a nonsensical statement outside of this arena. So if you try and talk to people about it outside this arena, they haven't got a clue what you're talking about. It doesn't mean anything.
They run away. They run away because they realize it's something they should know.
I think the opposite, though. Here's what I've found. The people that think they live on a sphere Earth on the outside of this argument don't think that water curves.
Yeah.
Now, that amazes me.
Right. But they've never thought about the connection.
No, they've never thought that it has to curve if they live on a sphere.
Right.
They've never thought of that. They will sit there and tell you. Yeah, no, they'll argue with you. Water doesn't curve. What are you talking about?
Right.
I mean, I'm like, no, you don't get it. See, this ball here, has water all the way around. That's curving. Oh, no, it's not. Water doesn't curve.
Right. It's
You're
flat
right,
and curved. Stupid.
Yeah. I mean, seriously, that's what I run into a lot. Water doesn't curve.
That's exactly the argument we've been going through for years now.
Yeah, but they think they live on a sphere. Mm-hmm. They've been told they do, and they believe it.
Right. That's the crux of the whole, psychological impact that this has, because we all thought we were spinning without ever really thinking it, without literally thinking it.
Not all.
No one ever thought about it that way.
Not all.
Well, not all, but we were all taught that. Most of us were, right? And we would just believe it in the kind of like a more like an idea kind of way, like that's what it is, but not really. Almost already, you know what I'm saying? No one ever thinks, "Oh, I'm spinning right now," ever.
Until somebody talks about it, right? And literally nobody talks about it. So when you say you've been taught that, I don't think anybody's ever taught. The most people I've talked about and said, "What were you taught about the globe?" There's nothing.
Yeah, you're right. They don't really say. It's almost like they avoid saying you're spinning. Or there are things that do say, "Oh, you don't even realize you're spinning 1,000 miles an hour." But this is the math of it. This is how it works. But that's not really in class. Like it's more like here's the globe, and figure it out.
I think the biggest problem is you're taught how to memorize. You're not taught how to think, and formulating if-then statements and working through them logically and working out the outcome does teach you how to think. We were never taught that. Most people weren't taught that.
They don't teach it most of the time. It's just read this chapter, right? And these chapters are going to be on the test. That's it. And a few discussions in class, and that's it. You have a test, and then you move on to the next 4 or 5 chapters, whatever it may be, 20 chapters. Read them, be prepared for a quiz on Friday, and test on 2 weeks from now. That's it.
I had a guy ask me that a long, long time ago. Who taught you how to think? I had to sit there and really think about it. I'm like, well, I don't think I was taught how to think.
I was taught
how to memorize. You were taught how to memorize.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, critical thinking isn't really taught, is it?
It should be like that should be like the first thing you learn.
Logic
used to be.
Logic was taken out of the syllabus in early 1800s.
Yeah, you used to have the trivium.
It's the job of parents.
A lot of people will join Discords to tell you what they memorized, what they can remember from years ago when they were taught to memorize things. They'll come here and fight against what you know, what you've discerned through life and experience and measurements on their memories, right? On what they memorize, how well they know it. I don't know.
And
it's not reality.
One is sacred geometry is never taught. And when I discovered that, I'm like, why the hell was this not ever taught to me? That was a big clue. And then
Euclidean geometry is sacred.
Yeah.
Right. Well, all the art teachers I've ever had, even college level, I've asked them. I've made a point to ask them if they've ever learned about sacred geometry, and across the board, none of them. What's that? They may have heard of the golden rectangle, at best.
Well, what makes it sacred?
Exactly.
That it's proof upon proof upon proof upon proof, and then.
Well, no, that's what I want to know to you. What makes it sacred?
Have you tried it, RC? Have you ever performed any sacred geometry?
Have I performed any sacred geometry?
Yes.
I think he knows why it's sacred.
Yeah.
No, I need you to say for me. Why do you think it's sacred?
That's what it's called.
Well, that's. I thought your point was that the reason they don't teach it is because it's too sacred to teach.
No, I'm asking you. What makes it sacred?
Why do you not put it in the syllabus, RC? Why have you never done that? Have you ever done it yourself to put it in the syllabus? Right.
Why when I ask a simple question, I'm just asked another question?
You know what, RC? I got a good one for you that I haven't listed yet, and I want to just read my last if this then that. This is especially for you, okay?
Well, are you going to answer
this? We're talking about if this then that. We're not testing each other's acumen about something that's miscellaneously brought up.
Yeah, RC, please. RC.
You're trying to make this about me knowing something rather than us discussing why we weren't taught things, which isn't the point.
Go on,
okay?
Get your
I'm going to read
thing
this,
out.
okay?
No, go on.
All right. If the Coriolis effect is caused by the Earth spinning independently of a plane flying in an opposing direction, then the Earth could easily be observed to be moving underneath a plane flying across the direction of its rotation.
It's a bit long-winded, but I like it. It's got legs.
Yeah. I had to get it all in there.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it.
Yeah. I think you're a few weeks in front of us, but yeah, the Coriolis could definitely be logicked. In the yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
The only reason there is an effect. That's the only reason there is an effect, because the Earth is moving in the opposite direction of the plane's movement. Therefore, if the Earth is moving, the plane should see it moving when it's going in the opposite direction. Kind of like an ending to the argument right there. If you don't see the Earth moving, then the plane is not moving over a moving surface.
Why don't you answer my question, then I'll answer yours. How's that? Since I've been asking it for 5 minutes now and got muted.
I didn't call it sacred. You're trying to make it like I came up with the idea of it being sacred.
I'm asking you, what makes it sacred?
Oh, that's what it's called.
I'm not. Why would I know that?
Ah.
So whoever named it sacred
What is that?
geometry.
You're just like, oh, I gotcha. Why did they call it sacred geometry? I thought you might know, and that's the reason that you were asking.
Can I try?
Sure.
See if RC. I think it would be called sacred because it keeps repeating itself in areas that have nothing to do with each other. Almost, you'd say like a fingerprint of God or a signature of the engineer, of the designer. So I would describe that as sacred, something that is beyond explaining, but also true.
That sounds good.
Yeah, that was actually good.
It seems like the source of design or the following of a source of like energy, like a flow, you know, to make a design, to have a blueprint or a pattern.
Yeah, it's the geometric signature of God, or whatever, however you want to call it. You know, it's the source.
Remember when I asked him why the Earth spins supposedly the way it does, or why the universe moves a certain direction, like when gravity's supposed to pull everything to the center, and they didn't have the answer? Well, the sacred geometry would be the answer. If something moves, that would explain. It should explain the directionality of it or why.
So what do you reckon about that, RC? Oh, is he gone? Oh, he didn't want to.
Oh, wow, yeah, he left.
Not the answer he was looking for.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, look, I got it. I can simplify the one. If the Coriolis effect is an apparent deflection, then it cannot be an actual deflection.
But it is.
Yeah.
You got it.
No, that's what it is, though. That's the conflation that the ballers would love to think. They would love to say it's only an apparent deflection because they want to make you think it's only apparent from this third party's perspective. But the reason that the Coriolis effect is even talked about in this argument is because you'd have to account for it when you're flying in a plane, because otherwise you'd be off course.
Yeah, that's my statement.
Yeah.
Physically off
apparent
course, not apparently off course.
Right.
Physically off
Apparent,
course.
just
Right.
apparent is not actual.
Oh, okay.
I couldn't get in earlier, but sacred is just connected to God or the Creator. It's just a word they use to connect whatever they're talking about to the Creator itself, which was called God.
Makes sense.
Yeah, connected to.
What about if there's no up or down on a globe, then gravity can't be called a downward force?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's not bad.
It's an every direction force to the center.
Right.
That's why I was telling them the gravity doesn't work when it don't work left and right. It only works up and down. There's something wrong there.
Oh, you just don't understand.
Oh, I know. I'm retarded. I just don't understand.
I just go for it's not real. I mean, just talking about it is progressing the argument for something that just doesn't exist.
Did y'all see the video that showed Brian Cox stating that Einstein said the Earth was accelerating upwards?
Yeah.
That's what gravity was?
Upwards at 9.8.
Haven't you seen where the galaxy supposedly corkscrewing with the sun in a certain direction somewhere? If it's corkscrewing, it's traveling upward some way. Sideways upward, right?
I think SE had a plumb bob logical statement to disprove that.
I think so.
Yeah. hence, no. Could you add it into spiraling around the galaxy or something like that? Could you?
Sure, I can envision those arms. We can hang a plumb bob on the Milky Way's arms.
What about if a guy has a sheet of plywood with 4 plumb bobs on each corner? No, I'm just kidding.
Got a hole in the middle.
What if you put plumb bobs hanging from each part of the ISS? The front and the back. A long, big one. They glow in the dark, or were colored.
Glow in the dark plumb bob.
Yeah, from the ISS, like a pink one or a green one or an orange one, you know? You can zoom in on it and see which, how it's tilted.
You could get a theodolite on it, couldn't you? Or an auto level. Do you reckon it happened?
They got a sextant on there. They might as well get a theodolite up there.
Would an auto
A sextant on the ISS.
I think so.
Yeah, they did. They were doing spotting out of the cupola. I don't know what they were doing. I don't know what they were referencing at the horizon, or what they were referencing to.
The cupola.
Yeah.
The cupola's their reference.
Checking the angular size of the window from the back room.
The cupola is your own personal dome.
Yeah.
Even more.
It's their back cave.
There's 7 holes in the cupola. Ingenious design, it is.
Just put your finger over it.
Do you always talk like Yoda?
Only when I'm trying to make logical syllogisms.
Good.
We'll make it stronger by putting another weak spot. Make another window.
They should have won for 8. Yeah, I was thinking the same thing, bro.
It's going to be so strong when we get done putting this weak stuff here. We're going to keep the seal by breaking the seal and adding rubber.
Yeah, we're going to put 7 holes in the cupola, pressurized thing in a vacuum, and the only thing separating it is 2 little rubber O-rings, which are dynamic. That means they turn. It's insane.
Well,
if you have a leak, then you have a leak.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
I'm sure there's some protocol,
Yeah.
I got
the
a better way of
mechanism.
doing the one. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, bro. Go.
I was just gonna say it should be if there's no up or down on the on a globe, then gravity can't be called the downward non-force that only acts like a force because it can't be detected or isolated.
I like
Yeah,
that.
what was
cue.
right the hand had one about the up and down. What was that? It was a good one too.
It's if up and down is opposite to each other. That's how we started that one.
Yeah, but that's
I think I just came up with one.
That leaves
Check
you
this out.
already at breaking the law of non-contradiction, because you have to have up as being down. You also have to have vertical as being parallel to horizontal. There's so many contradictions that are around once you start with this logical thing that you have to break the law of non-contradiction. It just has to go with the model, one of them.
Yeah, spherical triangles right there.
Mm-hmm.
I think I have a good one. If time is a concept, then you cannot combine it with space to make a fabric.
There you go. That is good.
It's crazy how they use terms like that, and just it's wizardry.
It is completely. That's exactly what it is.
They use the word when you use the word fabric, everybody thinks of a physical thing that cover up with, and they've put tied a concept to it.
And it's so hard to understand for people that are really trying to figure out how the math and the reverse logic of it all is supposed to make sense. And I think that those people are the ones that really have a hard time accepting that it was really just wizardry. Because they spent so much time.
Nobody likes to be fooled.
Yeah.
What is the saying with Mark Twain? It's easier to fool someone than to
convince them
they were fooled.
Yeah.
I have another one. If you were never shown a sphere and told you live upon it, you would never ever think you did.
There you go. That's one of my favorites.
That was me. Literally.
You said
you were
that
never
as well?
you were never taught that? You were never taught that you live on a sphere?
Nah.
Really? Wow, you're lucky.
Well, I mean, you call it lucky. Mind wipe at 7 sort of aided it, right? Because you never taught it after that age, because you can logically think for yourself. So it's not accepted. It's locked in at early years and just added to and reinforced from that time.
So you're saying you weren't in a school system that was teaching that, or you just weren't up until that age?
They don't teach it.
It's never mentioned.
What you learn from TV, advertising, your friends. You fill every gap for that model there ever is. There's nothing taught. There's no globe experts. You can't go to school and learn globe.
They point to a globe maybe and say you live here, but they don't teach you about the sphere. Just think about it.
But we were all taught to think that flat Earth is stupid.
No, I wasn't.
Not really.
Archaic. It's always that, they used to think it was flat and they were stupid or archaic or misinformed or whatever. That's the implication.
They show you the big waterfall, and they show you falling off in your books. They show you a big ass waterfall.
Yeah, that
ladder. You fall off the edge. Yep.
If you only know flat to be 2D or a flat surface, then it's not flat, right? You know that the literal sense of flat it isn't true. So if you've got a logical brain, then you can see through that, and it's just dismissed as being irrelevant because it's a nonsensical argument. It doesn't make any sense for people to say that it's flat because it's observably not flat.
In a way, it's the same as saying it's a sphere when you know damn well it's not a sphere.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not flat either, and that's the funny thing about it.
Yeah,
it's actually
a sandbox.
Worse, because you can see 100% it's not flat. Yeah.
Yeah,
you can't see whether it's a sphere or not. You can see that
it's
it's
funny.
not.
They're right. They're right. If you take it literally, they're right. It is stupid to think it's flat.
Yeah.
But it's just more stupid to call it a sphere. It's not
Deb, I was
like
thinking
that.
about something. Remember the fallacy we heard last night? The fallacy of stolen concept.
Oh, I didn't really read into that. You did it more, didn't you?
I did, and now that I've thought about it, it holds more true. Like the person that used it was out of context, I think. But it's when you argue against a position, when your argument against it relies on that position. So when people start talking about horizontals and verticals, perpendicular, they're arguing against it when their position relies on those facts.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. You're right. That whole perpendicular to a curve is ridiculous because the very fact that you're using perpendicular means you're using the 90-degree relationship, but then arguing against that very fact. Yeah, that is the what'd you say? Fallacy of
stolen concept.
Yeah, to remember.
Hey, Bev, what was your tolerance when you measured level? Like, what was your accuracy? Your precision?
Oh.
Well, I want to add into the last thing you said before we get into a confrontational thing. I thought at first when you were saying stolen concept that it was getting at the idea of like parallax showing us that the stars are really trillions and trillions of miles away, rather than parallax showing us that there's no way that we could be moving in relation to the stars. It seems like a lot of these arguments they've taken for themselves. No, parallax is the reason they knew they were that far away, because of the minuscule parallax they can measure with their special telescopes.
When they did that, they concluded that light came in parallel, and they still do. So there's literally no parallax involved in it, is there? If you take it that it's coming in parallel, so
Yeah,
Well,
okay. Yeah.
it was a
It's
stolen concept.
It's just totalitarian and, materialism, put in play by a bunch of communists.
I wouldn't say
That's
that.
all it is, guys.
And look where it got us.
Parallel light also kills their eclipse penumbra. Cannot happen with parallel lines.
Well, like as we've seen earlier on today, anybody that's not aware, we've had a fair few weird conversations with people, but they'll literally change the definition of things. Certain group of people that we may or may not end up talking to. So these basic facts that we're going over with the, formulating this if P then Q and trying to keep everything definitional, like they'll just change the definitions of words. So,
Or alter entries like the superseding of gravity. Remember they made it instead of Einstein's theory of relativity or superseded Newtonian gravity. It now says in some of these sources that it augments or complements or anything but supersedes.
We're making them change the dictionaries, gentlemen.
Well, they will, and they do. So, I mean, where's your counter to that? I mean, it's personal, right? Because you can't stop them from changing the definitions of things. No one can. If there's people that are willing to do it of their own accord, and then obviously the higher power they are, and they can have the power to change words and meanings of things, literally because they have to.
Maybe that's the whole reason for the Mandela effect. They're going to try to make flat Earth a Mandela effect.
Again.
Imagine. We've always told you it was flat.
Grizzly Adams had a beard.
Yeah. We've always told you it was flat. What are you talking about? Who said round?
It says right there. Right?
What are you talking about? Clearing Sing House sweepstakes, whatever it's called.
They'll bring up Rumpus saying, "Yeah, it's all flat." They'll bring up Ranty, "Yeah, the water's flat."
I didn't say it was all flat. I said it looks very flat. We
were joking.
Correctly.
But they're speaking of the devil, eh, Rumpus?
Sorry?
Rumpus, you got a logical statement you want to put in?
The Earth is a globe?
No.
How about
We said
if the
logical.
Earth was flat, all verticals would be parallel. All verticals are not parallel, therefore the Earth can't be flat.
Did you say was?
If the Earth was flat, or were flat, that's probably actually the correct grammatical use. If the Earth were flat, all verticals would be parallel. We observe that all verticals are not parallel, therefore the Earth cannot be flat.
Who was it? Is somebody?
Can I do it?
Wait a minute.
Can I
No,
do
wait,
it?
no, wait, whoa. There is one that we have heard just earlier, and I think it was Saragaki. Something to do with flat.
I wanted to do it.
Go on.
If vertical is determined by the center of a spherical Earth, then verticals cannot be parallel.
No.
The other one is, wait, I got it. If verticals are perpendicular to horizontal.
It's the flat one. It's the flat one.
Okay, if verticals are perpendicular to horizontal, then all verticals are parallel.
No, they're not, because the horizontal change is dependent on your position on the sphere. When are you going to learn this, you moron?
Wait a minute. Rumpus, please. Please don't give him chance to do this.
No, I'm muted.
Rumpus,
Who was
do you
it?
mean verticals as in perpendicular to something else?
Please, stop. Who had the one with the flat in it? Was it Saragami?
Me, yeah.
Right, okay. Can you just say that one, please, for Rumpus?
Rumpus.
He's not going to
Yes.
listen. Somebody's muted him. He's now deafened
He is
himself.
deafened, yeah.
Yep. Go on, then. You just say it, and then everybody else knows for when people come up with this.
You know he's listening to the
ridiculous-
YouTube channel anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, go on.
If the Earth is flat, P, then the Earth will be 2D, Q.
And that makes his statement irrelevant because flat is 2D, vertical is 3D.
It's a bad P. It's a really bad P that is stopped
And
by
it-
something like that. A very simple, logical statement. Please try again, Rumpus. That's bad.
I'm also not sure the were
Yeah.
phrasing is good.
He needs is, doesn't he?
Yeah,
He needs
because
to
it's
have
already
definite
determined before.
statements.
Yeah, his P basically then claims it's not what he want. It's not flat. That's basically what his premise says then, because it were, as in it's not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Rumpus,
Could you
I
also
know you're
work in the
listening.
idea? Could you also work in the idea of if a sphere is a three-dimensional object, then it can't be described in 2 dimensions?
Well, that
I
will
already
be
gave
the
that
next one we can go with for 2D, 3D surfaces, right? That is another logical avenue that we could go down as a separate bit.
I've got one for that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, there's logic coming out of, there'll be loads of logic coming. We don't want to rush it all. I'm interested in hearing the Glober's side on it, though, right? And particularly Rumpus and how this logical formulation works. Because there does seem to be a disconnect between different people. I mean, like, why start off with if the Earth is flat when we can see it's definitely not? I mean, that's obviously a bad P. At least get your logic formulated in a way that, can't be mistaken by somebody who misconstrues flat as being the literal flat within a logical statement. I mean, that's what we're meant to be doing, checking the P's and Q's. So we want to take Rumpus off mute. I'll bring him off mute. There you go. He might come back and listen. You never know. He might have been listening on YouTube.
Yeah, I'm sure it was.
You can come back in, Rumpus.
Guaranteed he's listening. Come back, Rumpus, or are you scared to make a P then Q?
You could base it around his test as well. I mean, this is the perfect example.
Oh, I have one for the Rumpus. I say Rumpus will not do the test this year. P. Rumpus will not do the test this year. Q. Okay,
If
I'm
Rumpus is
sorry,
scared to
Rumpus.
come back, then he won't come back. Q.
Good one.
I'll do if Rumpus had have looked through an auto level down the canal, then he would have needed a much bigger pole. Okay. But I mean,
If Rumpus's pole is not plumbed, then it is irrelevant. No, I'm just kidding.
that was Ed Freeze, wasn't it? Was it Ed?
Yeah, it was Ed Freeze logic.
So, Rumpus, did you hear that?
No, didn't hear anything. I've been on mute or deafened all this time.
Okay. Well, somebody said.
We worked out your statement.
Do you want to go over it again, Saragaki? Yeah.
I'll say it again.
No, Saragaki, please.
No, I'll say it again. Be quiet. Be quiet.
Don't do this.
Be quiet.
Let's let him go.
Stop interrupting me.
He's going to do the same.
Be quiet. Stop interrupting me.
Just let him get a sentence out, or we won't hear the end of it.
Christ.
Go ahead, Rumpus. Go ahead.
Right. If the Earth was flat, all verticals would be parallel. All verticals are not parallel, therefore the Earth cannot be flat.
Okay. Well, while you were out of here, Rumpus, and we were talking about that, there's a problem with the was. I know, it's just logic.
No, there isn't.
But there is a statement that we've already been given tonight that sort of lays your initial P statement a bit flawed.
No, it doesn't.
Saragaki,
they made a mistake there.
I'm here, yeah.
Okay. Do you want to just give Rumpus your...
Yeah. If the Earth is flat, P, then the Earth will be 2D, Q.
Yes.
Would you agree with that, Rumpus?
Well, probably. Well, not really. The geometry of it would be 2D, but obviously you have mountains and you have topography still, even on a flat Earth. So it's not. No, it's not really correct. No.
So would you have verticals on 2D?
Exactly.
Well, you have up and down, even on a flat Earth, then you have verticals and down. So, as I said, if the Earth was flat, we have a down, we know things fall downwards, and the opposite of down is up, and we know perpendicular to that is horizontal. That's the definition of horizontal, is perpendicular to vertical. So, those would all be parallel on a flat Earth. All those verticals would be... Let me finish. All those verticals
wait a minute.
would be parallel. Be quiet, interrupting.
Why is it dipping when there's nothing left?
Rob, please.
I know. I would know. You do not have the right to interrupt me, Bev. Shut up. So, on a flat Earth, all verticals would be... Be quiet. No, you don't. You don't have any special privileges here. No, you don't have any special privileges here. No, you don't have any special privileges here. You don't have any special privileges here. So, on a flat Earth, verticals would be parallel. They are not parallel. Therefore, the Earth is not flat. Go ahead.
Okay, right. Well, the problem is, like we just said, we know the Earth is not flat. So, setting up your statement with a false
we're referring to the sea. Yeah, ignore the topography issue. I know you love to talk about the topography. It's
why are you cutting him off?
Well, he's making a stupid point again. He loves this stupid point about topography.
Okay,
let's deal with water. Let's deal with water, and so we can forget about the topography of mountains and crap.
Your logical statement is flawed, Rumpus. That's all we're saying.
Because I'm referring to water. I'm referring to the underlying geometry, i.e., water.
Okay, I got one for the water. Hang on. Here's my if P then Q. If a connected liquid (brackets water) is in hydrostatic equilibrium, then the pressure is the same at all points on a horizontal line.
Well, pressure is a very poor way of describing it. You no need to mention pressure. The point is water.
Rumpus.
No, why are you you love interrupting me? Stop it!
Don't say
water. No,
there's no need to mention
pressure.
No,
you can speak after I finish my sentence. You can speak after I finish. You cannot interrupt me 4 words into my sentence. Right. So when you said that water, be quiet. Water has an equal pressure. There's no need to that. You just can simply regard its geometry on a flat Earth, where down is universal, parallel to all the points. Then water would be all horizontal, and therefore all water the water level will be horizontal. It's not like that. Ignoring waves and tides and things, and it's not like that. Therefore, the Earth is not flat. Go ahead.
That's what hydrostatic equilibrium is. It's at the same pressure. It's in equilibrium. Same pressure at all points in a horizontal line.
Can you finish?
Well, it's unnecessary. You're introducing unnecessary terms. You can just talk about the geometry. When you say the pressure of what? The pressure at the top of water is air pressure. There's no pressure due to the water at the top of the water level. So if you're talking about the water level, the pressure is absolutely irrelevant unless you want to talk about air pressure. So
It is relevant because it's at rest. It's an equilibrium. It's zero.
What pressure are you talking about? You talking about the pressure at the top of the water?
Do you realize if you put your mouth on
That's
one end
not
of the water
determined
level
by
and push on
water.
it's
It's
gonna throw
determined
it out
by
of
the air
equilibrium?
pressure. The water. If you're talking about under the water, is that what you're talking about? When you talk about pressure, are you talking about the pressure at some depth under the top of the water? Is that what you're talking about?
Water is in hydrostatic equilibrium.
But
The
what
pressure is the same
are
in all.
where? What pressure? Where are you talking about?
The water. Do you realize that on one
Where?
end of the water?
What depth of water are you talking about as being pressure? You talking about 1 foot onto the water or any depth of
He's
water
not going
under
to
the
let you
water?
get it out, Buster. Yeah.
I'm just asking. You said the pressure.
Waste of
Which
time.
pressure? What position? Are you talking about the top of the water, or are you talking about 10 feet down, or any depth of water? Is the depth, the pressure at any depth at any part of the water? Are you saying would be the same pressure? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, if it's in hydrostatic equilibrium, the pressure at the top, the pressure at inch down on both sides is the same.
Right. The pressure at the top of the water is not dependent on the water. It's dependent on the atmosphere.
On a horizontal plane, he said. That's in
Yes, and at the top
logic.
of the water,
Rumpus.
at the top of the water, the pressure is determined by atmospheric pressure.
That's zero.
not the water.
What I said, told him, but he wouldn't listen.
Yeah, that's zero.
I mean,
right?
you're a moron. I mean, you just can't listen. Try listening again.
Carlos,
Do you
close your mic.
understand? Do you understand that the pressure at the top of the water, above the sea level, is determined by atmospheric pressure and not the water?
What do you mean by that,
understand
Rumpus? What do you mean by that?
Oh my God! I'll say it again.
Go on.
The pressure that you
What
measured with a
do
barometer.
you mean?
I mean, if you can't understand what I said, I mean, you're just beyond help. I'll say it again. If you take a barometer
Yes.
and you put it on top of the water,
What sort of
that
barometer?
pressure, a pressure barometer. That's what barometers are for. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, go on, what sort?
barometer derived?
And the pressure it would register is determined by the atmosphere, not the water.
What do you mean by the pressure of the barometer? Do
The
you mean
pressure that the barometer
a
measures.
mercury
you utter
barometer?
moron.
A mercury
Any
barometer.
It doesn't matter what sort of barometer it is. A barometer, by definition,
Wow.
is measuring pressure, and the pressure it will measure is atmospheric pressure.
Does
I
it
mean,
not
you're
just-
beyond help.
Does it not
It's
just
going
measure the
totally
weight
up
of
the
the
head.
mercury?
It measures the pressure it's subjected to, which is, when you're above the water level, the atmospheric pressure.
The weight
you clearly
of
don't
the
understand
mercury.
how a barometer works. You clearly don't no, it's nothing to do with the mercury is just a means of measuring the pressure. It's not the thing that generates the pressure. Oh my God.
Well, what's the pounds per square inch then? Where's that come from?
Depends upon the atmospheric pressure, as I've now said about
I know
10 times.
It's okay, calm down.
My God,
It's
you
okay.
are just
But
so thick.
The per square inch.
That's what pressure is, you
That's
moron.
the weight of the mercury, isn't it?
That's not the weight of the mercury. The mercury measures the pressure.
I think you'll find out, Rumpus. It is. It's the weight of the mercury.
Measures the pressure that exists. My
It
goodness.
just
I mean, you
happens
don't
to
know how
be the
barometer works, do
exact
you?
weight of the
and
mercury.
it doesn't have to be mercury. You can use other sorts of barometers.
can
which
use
measure
water,
pressure,
can't
which
ya?
do not involve using
You
mercury.
can use water, can't you?
It was the
Well, you have
original
to-
barometer.
Well, no, it's well. If you have a vacuum at one end of a, you could in theory, but mercury's better. You could use water if you have a 32-foot high thing, but it's
Ooh.
not. But it's the
What was
atmospheric
that?
pressure. It's the atmospheric
How
pressure
far,
that
Rumpus?
generates the pressure.
How
the
far,
water
Rumpus?
doesn't generate the pressure. It's
How
a
far,
means of
Rumpus?
measuring the pressure. It's a means of measuring the pressure.
How far was
and
that
it's
again,
measuring,
Rumpus?
and it's measuring the atmospheric pressure.
How far was that column of water, Rumpus?
It's 32 feet 10 meters. is what
32
is the-
feet 10 meters.
It's about that. I can't remember the exact.
33 feet.
Well, there you go then. So why did why? So you think the fact that I mentioned 32 and it's actually 33, you think you think you've won something here, do you?
No, I'm just letting everybody know that the actual weight
Yeah, it's
of
irrelevant.
the column
See, this is
of
typical.
the
You're deflecting
water
from the issue.
has been transferred to the
don't
mercury.
understand.
Well,
You
why
don't
are you
understand
stopping
that
me
the
from telling
atmospheric
everybody what's
pressure-
going on?
Rumpus, why are you interrupting him?
Why are you doing that?
You're
What-
deflecting.
Are you getting triggered, Rumpus?
You're deflecting.
Calm down.
You're deflecting because
I'm not
the issue
deflecting because I'm telling everybody about the water.
It's a means of measuring the pressure. You seem to be implying when you talk about mercury,
with a
so it
column
was
of
generating
33
the
feet.
pressure. So the key point is the
And you know what's the
atmospheric
relative
pressure
density
is
difference
the thing
between
that
water and
generates the
mercury?
pressure, and there are various ways of measuring it. And
Is that why you
typically
end
you've
up with a
gone
column of
on
mercury?
A deflection, and you've deflected from the issue by worrying about how
you're
you measure
scared,
the pressure
Rumpus. I
because
can hear
you
it.
don't understand
I
the
can hear it.
issue. I
Don't
don't
worry
think you
about it.
understand that atmospheric pressure
I don't
is the
think
thing that's
you
generating the pressure,
understand.
and you naturally deflect to some other issue.
Yeah.
Why
did you not come over and say hello, Rumpus?
You
Why
don't
did you not
understand.
come over and have
You
a look
don't
through the
understand.
cameras? Why
Well,
didn't
I
you come
suspected-
over and have a look through the auto level? Why didn't
Well,
you
I
do that?
suppose I thought you might be attempting to disrupt my work, and if you were intent on that, I was going to be quite upset about it, and I was fearing I didn't want to cause a confrontation.
Oh,
if
you got
I'd wanted
scared.
Oh, absolutely not.
You
The only
could
thing I
have
was
come
scared of
over
doing-
and just had a look through the camera.
Well, the thing is, I
Auto
regard
level.
you as a pretty obnoxious character, and these domesticated primates, the other.
Coming
chief-
from you.
No, I'm a nice guy.
Yeah.
I'm a nice, pleasant guy. I don't go around. I don't go around doing the things that you do. And
What
being
do we do, Rumpus?
Well, I must. Well, I don't know.
We
what
go
the
out and do
people were there,
things.
but there were.
We actually look
put it
through
like this,
auto
I
levels
didn't know
and
what
the
your. I didn't know what your
P1000.
intentions were. They could have been to distribute. I mean, you turned up on the day you knew I was going to turn up, so I
No,
thought. Well, if I
no,
go,
Rumpus,
if
no. We
Well, I
were
didn't know that.
told you wouldn't be
Okay.
there.
Well, all I knew is that I
So
had mentioned I was
we
going
were
to be there.
always going to go there anyway, but we got
Okay, well, I
told you
didn't know
weren't
that.
going to be there.
Well,
So
I
don't
didn't know
say
it.
that
No,
we followed you
no,
down
I
there
didn't
looking
say I
for you
wasn't
or
going to
trying
be
to
there. I said
stalk
the-
you or anything
I
like
said the
that.
trial. I said the full observation wasn't going to be there. I never said
You-
I wouldn't be there.
You went and you came up there and you saw us there on the bridge
I did.
with your mate. Yeah, the one that said he was the enemy. And then you ran off. Like you didn't even come over
because
and say,
I'll
what
say it
you
again.
doing?"
I've now again. I don't know whether you're just incapable. You've got the memory of a goldfish. I'll say it to you
Mm-hmm.
again. Your intentions could easily have been confrontational, and I didn't want to go up there. And because if you were going to be confrontational, then I would have been. And
Yeah,
then
you would have.
suffered.
You would have said
So-
that you'd send Farmer's Boy over with a machete, right? Or
No, I
just
didn't
chuck us
say
in
that.
the canal or something like that, right?
Well, no, if you were attempting to disrupt my observation, I
what
would not
were
have
we
been...
doing, Rumpus?
Listen, let me
Yep.
stop. If you, it was not obvious that you weren't being there to disrupt my observation, so I thought, well, given the fact that I didn't need to be on the bridge, I thought, I regard you as I don't wish to mix with you in any way whatsoever. And had you demonstrate, for instance, if you had said something like, well, we're here to stop you doing the observation, then I would have felt obliged to do something about it. So as I wanted to avoid the whole confrontation thing, I decided not to engage with you because I regard you as a pretty obnoxious character. I mean, there may have been some pleasant people with you. I've interacted with one guy, I can't remember now, who got me on Discord somewhere, who seemed perfectly reasonable character. I would have interacted with him. But people like you and Domesticated Primate I regard as people who are not to be interacted with under any circumstances because of your behaviour.
Okay, I just
but
want
you
to
may,
fill
there may, other
everybody
people
else
there
in.
may have been perfectly reasonable, but I didn't want to. I did not want to be responsible by going up to you to create a confrontation that could have been unpleasant.
Yeah,
So,
okay,
as I
so
didn't need to. I
I
decided
just
not
want to fill everybody else in that might be listening and not unaware of what happened. Now, a couple of weekends ago, we went down on our annual pilgrimage to the home of the Level, Bedford Levels, where my son has already been in the dinghy and done the row bottom 8 inches above the water observation. And we went down there to go and have a look from the bridge to do the sighting of the Wallace one, where we see all the way from one bridge to the other, which I don't think was possible back in the day. But now we've got P1000s, infrareds, and all that sort of shit. We've got that. We've also got the auto level at 32 times scope, which we put on the bridge and did that. And as we were there doing that, checking it out and taking pictures and doing all of that, Rumpus turned up. And Rumpus didn't even come over. He just disappeared.
Explained why.
I'm just putting everybody else in the picture.
Have you just forgotten what I said 2 minutes ago to everybody?
But I'm
you
just putting everybody in the picture of what's going on.
As to why I didn't come and accost you. It's as though I think you really have a strange way of deleting things that have happened to you within minutes ago. I explained exactly, and then you just said, "Oh, why did Rumpus not come over?" I've just explained this 2 minutes ago.
You got scared. You said you got frightened.
Guys, did you just hear that? He's claimed that I said I got frightened. Now, does anybody else remember me saying that? He just makes stuff up.
You said you got scared because we might have wanted to disrupt it.
And I didn't say scared. I never used that word. Oh. I never used that word, and people here hopefully will be witnesses to that.
I'm afraid that's the way I interpreted it.
Now, he's either too stupid to remember what he said,
I think he was scared,
or he likes to make stuff up, and this is why people should not interact with this moron and this obnoxious character. He can't remember what's being said, or he willfully misrepresents what's being said. I told
What's the hole in Buster's?
Exactly what you're doing right now.
But if you look like you're gonna break your hip, like in the next strong wind, so I doubt anybody's gonna be frightened of you.
So are we done talking about Buster's statement or no?
Well, since we're talking about barometers, I have one for Rumpus. If man-made devices aren't natural phenomenons, then man-made devices don't follow the scientific method that can prove the cause of the effects observed in nature.
Well, they are natural things. They use the laws of physics. We
the
cannot
barometer
create
can.
We cannot create an object that doesn't follow the laws of physics. So it is a natural object. Although we've constructed it, it follows the laws of physics.
It follows the law of cavitation of water.
Cavitation's got nothing to do with this, you
It
idiot.
has, because that's why water cannot reach above that certain distance. It cavitates to equalize the pressure 33 feet above the head.
Cavitation is a phenomenon with things like propellers. You're just talking about the vapor pressure. You've no idea what you're talking
about. Cavitation.
That's false.
You should know
I've seen
what
it.
You're talking about.
I did it myself.
But anyway, the point we cannot employ things that do not obey the laws of physics, which is what you seem to be implying. So any instrument that we create
that's
in
not
the real
what we're
world,
implying at all. That was you that's implying that, Rumpus.
Be quiet. Be quiet. The guy.
Rumpus.
Be quiet.
Rumpus.
Be quiet. I'm
Yeah,
still
Rumpus.
talking. Stop
Rumpus.
interrupting.
Rumpus.
I'm responding to what the
Rumpus.
guy said, whoever it was.
You're the mod now.
You were claiming basically
What?
we could create an instrument that didn't follow the laws of physics. We cannot do that.
Who said that?
Everything the
Who
guy
are you
who
talking
made
about?
I didn't say be quiet. Be
Nobody
quiet.
said
guy,
that,
I'm
Rumpus.
talking to the guy who made who made some claim. He said,
"There you go." Rumpus has gone quiet. Oh.
Yeah, he said if, you know.
Right. Well,
If.
the point is that a
Why in the
barometer
living shit
and a
is
mercury
Rumpus getting
barometer.
muted?
What?
Why is Bev not muted? He interrupted him 6 times.
All he does is fucking
And he won't shut
monologue.
up.
Am I not
Oh,
doing?
Bev,
am I not?
you
Am I
interrupted
not
8
live
times.
hosting this show at the minute?
Hey, Bev, you interrupted 8 times. I guess we're okay
Am
to interrupt.
I not live hosting this show right now?
I guess it's okay to interrupt people.
Pardon?
Is that all right?
What?
You heard me.
What?
I said, is it
heard
okay
you
to interrupt
what?
everybody?
When you live hosted
Oh,
it.
what's that? We can interrupt everybody now?
Right, nice. Is this the way you're trying to take over? Is this the way
No,
you'd
I'm
normally
asking,
do it?
is that what you do? Are you cool with that?
Yeah, I'm gonna live host this show. Right, that's what I'm doing.
By interrupting everyone who's...
Oh, that wasn't me even. Yeah.
RC,
Right.
make
Anyway.
yourself-
So,
Sorry.
like, we get back to the point, right? That Rumpus started saying something about the barometer, which was a pressure thing, that Buster was talking about hydrostatic pressure. Then Rumpus started to talk about a barometer, which has got nothing to do with what Buster's initial statement was. Now, I don't know if anybody noticed the way that Rumpus was taking control of it and taking the actual argument that Buster prepared and into a different area where it wasn't even there. Which is what Rumpus does.
You didn't let him finish his sentence.
Sorry?
We wouldn't know now, would we? Because you wouldn't let Rumpus finish his sentence.
Because he was talking about a barometer and not the hydrostatic pressure that
I think
Buster
it's because you're
was
afraid of
talking
the
about.
argument.
He wouldn't let him talk and finish. He was monologuing for a good while. What are you talking about?
Oh, wait! Rumpus was doing the stolen concept fallacy.
Mm-hmm.
Go on.
100%.
Go on. Finish it.
He was arguing against the position of the pressure and using the very concept that you have to prove it with to use against the. Oh, I said that all messed up. He was arguing against the position, but he's using the position that validates it against arguing against the position. Is that right? I said that wrong again.
His argument relied on the position he was arguing against.
Yes.
There you go.
That's
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, argument depended on the position he was arguing against. Yes, thank you. Couldn't get it out.
So the very fact that a barometer is made out of mercury and the mercury has a density equilibrium with the water, then it all stems from the water that generates the mercury, right? And now we don't know whether that pressure works the same, but the reason it's 33 feet in water is because it cavitates to equalize the pressure. Now, I don't know if mercury does that. And if mercury doesn't do that, then what's the gap at the top of a barometer with? It can't be a pure vacuum. There's so many logical problems involved when you look into the barometer and the water barometer and the mercury barometer and how they work together to do what they do. I mean,
and doesn't the barometer use a water level to mark the reading on it?
No. The barometer was originated from water, taking it up 33 foot in a tube, and at 33 feet, that's as far as it'll go. It'll start cavitating. But they try to translate it to mercury because it's denser.
Yeah, to bring it down in size, and then they get it down to about 30 odd inches, I think.
760 millimeters. I think it's 760 millimeters.
That's 30 inch.
Yeah.
But there's a gap at the top of it, right? Because what you're meant to do is you're meant to fill the tube up that's obviously above 30 inches with mercury, invert it, and then hold it in the vat of mercury, and there becomes a gap at the top. Well, if that was water at 33 feet, that would be cavitation. The vacuum, the negative pressure that would be formed would be so extreme with the water that the water would cavitate, causing air at the top, cavitated through the water to a height of 33 feet. Well, that's translated to the mercury. But, I mean, has anyone ever seen if mercury cavitates at 30 inches? I doubt it, but I mean, there's no way of doing that.
On every single band.
So that's what we wanted to get out from Rumpus, to point out with
job and
who's
who knows
that?
what's in it.
DP.
Oh. DP. I don't want you getting me done. So that's something that can be checked, though, right? It's something that people can go and look into. But it also goes to help Buster's cause with the hydrostatic equilibrium, which is claimed to be, well, I don't know, I claim it to be horizontal. Seems
Well, physics. Funny how he says we're physics deniers and things rely on physics. Well, that is physics, hydrostatic equilibrium.
And your P was, that man-made devices are not natural phenomena. That was the P, right?
Oh no, that was somebody else. Mine was mine was different.
Oh yeah, okay, my bad.
Mine was if a connected liquid, water is in hydrostatic equilibrium, then the pressure is the same at all points on a horizontal line.
No, okay, yeah, that's nice.
Yeah, that's more than nice when you know what we've got. Like formulating modus tollens and ponens and all of that sort of stuff. Yeah,
it's gonna be so great.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, guys, but yeah. There's no need to think that this moron talk or whatever that Rumpus brings is anything more than just bravado on Rumpus's part. It's just to stop him from having to talk about the things he, should be talking about. Rumpus has got a test, Everybody, Rumpus is doing a test at Bedford levels. Now, Rumpus is going way beyond what anybody else has ever done before. Wallace and Robotham and all of that went for the hump. Well, Rumpus is going full quadratic on it. He's like proper going for it to measure the full drop of the water level. Fantastic. So Sean G should be right on board with it, Rumpus. Obviously, like we said, we've been down there to the canal and had a look. Got some nice pictures. I don't think Rumpus has ever looked through an auto level from that bridge, but I mean, perhaps you might want to come and talk about it. So what I'm going to do is now I'm going to say thanks everybody. I think I'll put the thing in my live chat. We're out at Earth Awakenings. I'm gonna end this Logic stream. I'll come back next week and I think we'll try and do a regular Logic thing. I'll get the thing in the chat and we're just gonna go live. It's already live on the Earth Awakenings. Still live now, so I'll close this stream. I'll end the live hosting and I'll